everyone. How are you doing today? And welcome to the Hockey Buzzcast on hockeybuzz.com. This is the podcast that usually brings you all the comings, goings in the hockey world every day of the year. Well, every Monday through Friday of the year, pretty much right now. But today we are really sad because this is going to be a UFA day unlike any other, I believe. I think we are really in for the convergence, the perfect storm convergence of the flat cap versus teams with players that don't want to be there versus guys who want to return home. It's all happening right now, guys. Pavel Zacha was traded to the Bruins just right before we went on the air.
Which is a strange move because, and we'll go around the horn here, Kevin Allen, Tom Laidlaw,
yes,
Ross Cohen, and Akis, and I'm Mike Agello, of course. Kevin, this move, Pavel Zacha has been rumored to be traded probably since the middle of last year.
Eric Holla, by the way, is going back for Pavel Zacha.
Okay.
So Eric Holla is going to Jersey.
I mean, Hall's a decent depth forward.
Yeah, he's a useful player. Useful player.
I thought that represents one of the moves that Don Sweeney made, and it was interpreted as a move that was to cater to Bruce Cassidy, and maybe now that this is a move, since they moved him out. Zacha, big forward, hasn't really fulfilled the promise of being, I think he was a 7th overall pick. But I think he's a good player. So 8, was it 8th, Ross? 6th. But I think he's a good player, Kev. So this is a good acquisition for the Bruins.
Yeah, I mean, he has been the longest standing trade rumor,
yes.
For the longest time. But, it seemed like this deal was more about getting rid of Zacha than acquiring. And finally, they found something that seemed, well, all right, we could accept Holla for him, who is a useful player but can never find a home. Like you like him when you have him, but then you're ready to get rid of him, because he's certainly been around the block a little bit. So, it's a good way to start. It's this is like if you were fishing, we pulled in a 9-inch perch. Good start to the free agent day today.
It is a good start to free agent day. I agree. It's a nice little ease us in. I mean, this has been going on, like you say,
it's a hockey trade. 1960s time.
Yeah. Please the palate, but
I mean, look, I still like Zacha. I honestly think Boston did make out here. I know the Devils had wanted to dump him for a while, but again, the Devils aren't loaded with goal scorers. It's still going to be 15 to 18 goals you got to get back. I think Zacha could still hit the 20 mark. He reminds me a lot of Anisimov. I think he's similar. I think he's giving similar production. And as a result in this league, it's like, nobody wants to pay too much for that, but you still need these guys. Boston always likes their size, let's face it. And that's what they're going after.
You don't think that Holla could score 15 goals?
No.
Okay.
Sure.
I think he could score 15. I mean, that's not asking a ton of a guy. I mean, really? He just wasn't a good fit in Boston. He didn't really perform that way. All the free agents that Boston brought in last year, I think, were disasters. Nick Foligno, they spent $3.8 million on a 2-year deal. He had injury problems. Holla just really, I don't think fit. I think Nosek was the other one that they brought in. None of them. I'm pretty sure it was Nosek. None of them really fit. None of them really did what they were looking. What they were looking for. And I mean, that's the reason why Boston was sort of.
The Flyers have also moved Martin Jones to. Well, I guess not moved him. Is he a free agent? I'm not even sure.
He's a free agent.
He's going to Seattle.
So he's signing. Okay,
that's is re-signed in Colorado for 4 years, $4.5 million. That we kind of saw coming.
They're similar players production wise. I mean, the Holla scored 18 goals last year.
They are.
And he's been a 20. I mean, he's been a 29 goal scorer. The 1 year.
I don't think he's going to score that in New Jersey, though. I don't think he's going to get the chance.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's comparable players.
Especially if they get another. They're comparable right now on paper. I don't think they're necessarily comparable because I think if you can get him to play around the net more, I think that's more valuable to Boston. Now, look, if Holla scores 44 again, that's great. I don't know if he's going to get the same opportunity he did in Boston.
Well, I know they're very similar, and they're probably at this stage of their careers. Like Zach has got to be 26 or soon to be 26. Yeah. They are who they are.
Right.
So I think this is kind of one player that very similar in terms of their production for another.
Guys, hearing Jonathan Toews in Winnipeg again. I've heard this a couple times. It keeps heating up.
That's a 50% retention. Renaud Lavoie is saying that the Leafs are in on Ilya Samsonov. That makes a ton of sense.
Surprise.
Oh no, I mean,
Here, here's an example, Kev. I just want to bring this up, Kev.
They're getting a goalie, Tom.
That's a number one. They don't have a number one right now.
That's their number one goalie.
Okay, let's
we won't debate that. We don't have time. All right. So
Eric Haula took 141 shots in Boston, the most he's taken in like 7 years. So he got 18 goals. He's not going to get 141 shots in New Jersey.
It depends on who he plays with.
Let's get this out of the way before we get.
No, I got something else. We got to start with this.
Oh, come on. Let's stir the pot here a little bit.
I want Tom Laidlaw to say I got beat up by Tom Laidlaw. Come on.
No, we will. I promise. Okay. I will give Tom a chance to beat the hell out of you. I promise.
All right, good. So let's get a promise.
100% guarantee that'll happen. Jan, hey Jan. So no, this is what I'm going to start with. I have to paint the current Johnny Gaudreau picture because I've been working on it all day. Okay, so here's the current Johnny Gaudreau picture right now. Here's where we are.
Okay.
The Devils think they have him. Okay, the Devils believe that they have him. 10.2 million per year, 7 years is what I heard. They could even go a little bit higher if they had to. They are confident that Johnny's going to go there. The Flyers don't think Johnny will go to New Jersey at all in any way, shape, or form. So there's two teams completely telling you opposite things. The Flyers believe that they can get him still, and they know he wants to get. I do firmly believe that the Flyers is where Johnny Gaudreau would prefer to play all things possible, right? But the Rangers have suddenly jumped in on the Johnny Gaudreau sweepstakes to join the Islanders, who are already in the Johnny Gaudreau sweepstakes.
But the Rangers don't have any money.
They don't have any money.
They
also need a center.
Well, does Philly have money?
He's not really a center. He's not really a center, Gaudreau, in my opinion.
The supposed dark horse in this is the other New York team that nobody's talking about, and that's the Islanders.
Well, yeah, no, I just said the Islanders.
Yeah, you said that.
You said the Rangers. I think
he said the Rangers. The Rangers are joining the Islanders.
The Rangers are joining the Islanders, so someone is talking about them, Mike. Yeah, I am indeed talking about them. And they are. I know they went really hard throughout the night. This last night, I don't think anyone slept that I know of. Like just in the hockey world, it was crazy. It was getting calls at 2 a.m. Just bizarre.
I was online at 2:30. You know that.
Yeah, I know. Russ is tweeting out things at 2:30. So anyway,
I got 7 good hours.
So this is good. The Flyers are trying to move JVR. They want to move JVR with the draft pick that they picked up from Florida, the first round draft pick that they got for Giroux, who's of course going to Ottawa. They tried to pick up, but the people don't want the Florida pick because Florida is going to be a really good team. People want the Flyers pick, so there's a little bit of a battle between that right now going on. The Flyers don't want to trade their first round pick. I mean, I would think any pick would be top 3 protected. You would think, but the Panthers, maybe they don't have to protect that as a top 3 pick because it's unlikely. I think the Panthers finish in the bottom of the league. So, but the Flyers could, so there's a thing there. So that's but the other thing that's really happening beyond that is the absolute definite attempt to move Provorov, which is absolutely happening. And that might be what happens instead of them moving JVR at the end of the day.
That's stunning.
It makes no sense because they don't have anybody to put in this place.
What I was told about this was that in the exit meetings, right, you have certain kinds of getting things texted me as we speak. In the exit meetings, you have the Flyers group right now, which is really kind of being led by Cam Atkinson. Honestly, like he seems to have a lot of power in Philadelphia, and now, they brought in his coach that he wanted, and he seems to be like the leader of this group. And other Flyers players reported a huge problem in the locker room between Provorov and everybody else. That it was that Provorov's attitude was not good, that Flyers asked him to not go back to Russia this summer. He went back to Russia this summer. There's certain things that are just, there's a divide in that locker room. And when you've heard Tortorella talking about the divide recently in the locker room, maybe he mentioned it a couple of times in press conferences, that this divide is about Provorov and everyone else. That's what I was told.
And he's under an affordable contract.
Yes.
Tom Tortorella will get the most out of him. Who cares about this other stuff?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
They're cutting off their nose to spite their face if they're trading Provorov, who's their number one defenseman. Now, maybe he's not the best number one in the league, but he is their number one. He's under a favorable contract. If they trade him in the wake of, Ryan Ellis probably not being available for the entire season, maybe done for his career. We don't know what's going on with him. Right. It's been very secretive. But okay, who's your number one defenseman? Tony DeAngelo?
Yes, I don't know.
Christ Almighty, are you?
So I'm
Tony DeAngelo's a good defenseman. He's
a loose cannon, Tom, and that's the problem. You can't really. That's a scary proposition.
You wonder if Tortorella could be the key there, right?
I think Tortorella thinks he can be the key, and I don't think they make this trade if Tortorella doesn't think he can do that. Like I think that Tortorella absolutely was part of this deal to get.
And the fact that Cam Atkinson is leading the charge there,
it is true. He has really gained a lot of internal power. Like he's the Alexander Hamilton of the Philadelphia Flyers. Like he's acting. He's acting.
I'll tell you what happened.
On the inside, moving around, making things happen, but no one really knows about it. Like
I'll tell you how this happened. It's not that hard. He ripped a lot of the other guys at the end of the year, saying it needs to be better. They need to try harder and everything else. Then they brought in a coach who happens to be a neighbor of his in Connecticut. It's not hard to put it all together that this was going to happen.
Yeah, he's got and Provorov has really been ticked off about everything that's happened, and he's not happy with any of it. So I don't know that Provorov gets moved today, but I think JVR will probably get moved instead. But I do think that there's a good chance Provorov will be gone by the beginning of the season. But all that said, the Gaudreau situation, the Devils just trade Zacha. People are thinking that might have to do with Johnny Gaudreau coming in. That doesn't have anything to do with. They've been trying to trade Zacha forever, but
they just didn't get enough back there.
Yeah, right. Like I said, the Devils do believe they have him. The Flyer, I talked to somebody, and I know the Gaudreau family. I know people within this group that I think at the end of the day he's coming to Philly. I could be totally wrong.
Okay, but
I think it's going to be for less. And the way that Calgary let it out, and the way that Calgary ended saying it was a family decision, to me that also very much implied.
But let's look at it this way, and it comes down to availability of cap to start off.
Yeah.
Right now, the Devils have about $25 million in available cap space.
There's no question, right? The cap space issue, Mike, is not. That's for sure.
I know, and it can be finagled, but I'm saying going into it right now, they have a ton of cap space, and the only guy on their roster right now that they have to spend money on is Jesper Bratt. So they have an advantage of probably being able to throw $10 million at Gaudreau with not having to really sweat about fitting him in.
Do you think he's a $10 million a year player?
I don't, but I think he's going to get it, Tom. I think in this market, he's going to get $10 million, and Nazem Kadri is probably going to get about $8 million.
I mean, Bobby Holik wasn't a $9 million player.
Yeah, you're right.
So, but
I think the Rangers are gearing up for Patrick Kane and 100% gearing up for Patrick Kane. I think that is 100% what's happening in New York.
Ahead of Kadri. See, I think Kadri would be the better player for them.
Yeah, I think the problem is term with Kadri, the number of years, the dollar amount.
I think ahead of Kadri. Yeah.
Look, and I'm not going to go into Larry Brooks's article with the machinations in terms of the double cap being reduced by two teams accepting it. But if you do one, it's 5.25 if they accept 50%. Chicago, and he is good friends with Panarin.
Yep.
Definitely would want to come to New York. And I know there's a ton of consternation on my blog on it. My view on this is not that you can put almost anybody as a 2C, but as people wrote, Artem Anisimov was the center between Panarin and Kane.
Right.
You can put almost anybody there. And Kane's the type of guy who likes to have the puck on his stick. He doesn't necessarily need others to create for him. So he doesn't need a playmaking center necessarily. You need somebody who can also be defensively responsible, and you get a guy who's a proven playoff performer, which is what New York needed also this past year.
New York went to the semifinals. New York went to the semifinals, correct?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying this. But if you look at what they needed also, right, you put a guy like that on that roster who's a proven playoff guy and a guy who could take a lot of the pressure off the other players, that's a win-win in a lot of situations, depending who else they bring on board.
I'll tell you something else for Tom and Jan here. You guys have I've noticed over the years from afar that the Rangers love players who want to be there, like that they have a really big, like Brad Richards, for example, Panarin. These are guys who really wanted to go there, and they went out of their way. They go out of their way to do that. That to me, this is another situation of a guy who I think really wants to be there.
New York City is not for everybody, right? Not every player can play in New York.
The Buffalo Sabres want players who want to play there. The problem is that nobody does. I mean, Alex Tuck was like the only guy. No, I mean, but yeah, I mean, Toronto players want to play in Toronto now. But
every team has this to a degree, but the Rangers, I think, especially appreciate it when a guy goes out of their way to say, "I'm going to be."
Yeah, I'll tell you the only problem.
It sounds like, and this brings me to Andrew Kopp for a second with Kevin.
Well, actually, wait, don't go to Kopp yet, because with Kane, what I want to say is, if they got him at the trading deadline, that's different. If you're setting up your season the way Jan's saying they're setting up their season, they're going to have problems at that center position.
I'm not saying to do it now.
Time, then it's different.
Which is why I think, look, I would have not minded Kopp back. Clearly, he wanted to go to Detroit, and the question is the term and the dollars. The rumors of Vincent Trocheck makes a ton of sense because he is a kind of a Kopp or a Strome version, bit more physical, a lot better between the dots. In addition, you can move him up or down between the second and the third line, which gives Hedl the opportunity, if he can take it, to maybe be your 2C or move up into that role as the season wears on. But it all depends on when Chicago wants to move Kane and how active they are in terms of freeing up that cap space, or B, more importantly, how much Kane is a pain in the rear end behind the scenes that he wants to get out, which is why you may be hearing the Taves rumors in terms of Winnipeg now that he wants out given everything that's gone on there as Chicago tanks to try to get Bedard. They're clearly tanking to get Bedard. I mean, there's no question.
I'd be stunned if those guys don't want out now after they've made it painfully clear that they're just tanking like crazy. Ken Wiebe, who covers the Jets, he's speculating that the Andrew Kopp deal will be around $5.3 million on a 5-year deal. The question I have is if that's true and they do sign Kopp, are they out on Kadri? Are they done going? Is he their number 2 center?
Well, I don't think that Kadri was ever going to go there because they're not close enough. But they really did inquire about Kadri. But Kopp makes a lot of sense to them just because of the character guy he is. Mm-hmm. He's from Michigan. It was a really big deal when he came home and played his game, the first game in like 2 or 3 years in Michigan. He had a large delegation, and I think the Red Wings took note of that as well. And he can do a lot of different things, as Ranger fans have seen. He can slide up and down lines. He can, play center or the wing. And I think they'll put him at second center. But I think they're not done. They still would have, after Kopp, $26 million left.
I hear it's going to be close to $7 million a year, Kev. It's going to be high, right? Like the Kopp deal.
No, I don't think so.
No, if he gets they're insane.
5.35.
5.35? I heard over 6. Really?
Yeah, that's what Ken Wiebe is reporting.
Sounds like Samsonov to the Leafs is done. I was hearing that. That's what I'm hearing. But I don't know. Nothing is done officially, but that is, and we all kind of.
They finally got a goalie. They finally got a goalie in Toronto.
A better goaltending tandem that they had last year, Gungadin. I mean, come on.
This was the plan the whole time, Mike. All right, so yeah.
Are you going to the minors now, or what?
Stop. Well, okay, let him attack.
Let him attack. Bronco that really wants to get out of the chute. Just let him out of the chute.
Yeah, let him go. Let him attack me so I can destroy him.
I'm confused where Toronto's doing. I thought they signed Murray got him as a minor league goaltender. Is that where he plays?
Yeah, that's what they got him for. No, I mean, okay.
All right.
Now, is your criticism of this the salary, the fact that Ottawa didn't retain more than 25%, or the fact that you think he's just a broken down goalie who can't play?
Well, I've asked the question before, and you know better, and I've asked you, does Kyle Dubas really know what he's doing? And this kind of I question, you put together such a talented team, mm-hmm. and then you need a goaltender. Like you could, right. Colorado and the Leafs, I think both have fantastic lineups, right?
Yeah.
And they had Kemper sitting there and he won. Now, I don't think he won them the cup, but he played well enough for them to win, right? So he's there. I mean, and he said you got Matt Murray, who was in the minors last year.
He was in the minor. His situation in Ottawa is, I mean, he didn't want to talk about it yesterday. Clearly, he soured on the relationship with the Senators, and the Senators soured on the relationship with him.
Okay, so the Leafs are getting a player that can't stay, that doesn't want to play in the National Hockey League, or does however it happened that he goes to the minors. I mean, I don't want to go to the minors.
Ottawa had a situation last year where they had Anton Forsberg and he was playing well. They had Gustafsson, who they wanted to give some work to. Murray was sort of up and down, had some injury issues, went down to the minors. Nobody was going to. It was safe for them to send him to the minors because he had a $6.25 million salary. He came back. He played well. He had a .915 save percentage up until the last game before he was shut down for the season, where he let in 8 goals against Arizona. So the question with him, I mean, Dubas and Keefe know him from Sault Ste. Marie. His goaltending coach since he was a kid is with the Leafs, John Elkin. He's motivated. I think he wanted to be in Toronto. That speaks, like X said, when a player wants to be where he wants to be, that's an important thing. So, the concerns that Russ has voiced about him not being durable, I think they're going to load manage the shit out of him. He's not going to be playing 50 games. He's probably going to split time. And now if the reports are true about him and Samsonov, I think you've got a 1A, 1B scenario where they're probably going to split time. So
he's going to get Murray to play more than 30 games. He hasn't been able to do that.
We'll see.
I
want to get into these debates yet because we got so many things happening.
Voodoo all of a sudden heal him so that he could do that. That's my question.
We have so many different things happening right now, guys. For a second, so Brent Burns, as Kevin was the first report, was out there in the trade market. And it's down to Carolina and
LeBron just reported Carolina are close to acquiring.
Yeah, Dallas was also as of a little bit ago working on a deal. So I'm not sure but I think Carolina it very well could. I heard Carolina or Dallas. So
okay, Kev. That report, if that Burns has 3 years at $8 million, the talk is that San Jose would retain some salary to get a better return. Carolina, they would rather go out and get Burns for 3 years at a little bit of a reduced amount than signing Klingberg for probably 6 or 7 years. So that smaller window for a proven commodity, and there's very similar defensemen.
Yeah, although there's some bulk and size to. Burns, he can still be a little bit of an intimidating presence with him. And, but also this speaks also to D'Angelo as well. I mean, what was sort of lost in all that was that they really tried to re-sign D'Angelo. It wasn't as if they thought he was a public nuisance and they wanted to run him out. They were still making an effort. They just thought he wanted too much money. He just wasn't. He didn't do all the things they felt were necessary in order to pay him. So there's that. But I think this would be a great acquisition for Carolina. I think it adds another element to him, more size, be harder to play against, and he can get the puck up to that talented group of forwards. So
because he's not on the trade. He's not on their no trade lists, Kevin. That's what I was just told. So he's not like Carolina is a place that he has on his no trade list. However, and where with Dallas, you've got Pavelski there, who he's close with. So it's still kind of up in the air, I think. But I think Carolina, I feel like Carolina will get it done. And, LeBron's saying it's getting close and all that stuff. But
I think it's an upgrade. It's an upgrade to D'Angelo. But again, Carolina's big problem is they always have goaltending issues, too, that always derail them.
Where's Kemper right now, then?
He's likely to go to Washington. That's the rumor. Yeah. Right now, if the rumors are true, Campbell is going to Edmonton, Kemper is going to Washington. Now there's some chatter out there. There was a Burn. We just talked about Burns. The Samsonov. It was Arthur Staple that reported that Samsonov is going to Toronto. I think that's just sticking with the Leafs for a second, then we'll get off of it. I think if you put Samsonov, who's a young goaltender who's got something to prove after Washington has walked away from him, and Murray, who obviously has something to prove more than just the injury thing, to recover the reputation that he had when he won 2 Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh. I honestly, I like the move that Toronto has made in net. I'm in the minority. Everybody is.
I like Samsonov, but
they're gambles, right? They're both
gambles. That's the problem.
Yes,
I like Samsonov a lot more than I like Murray. And I think if you watch Samsonov last year, like in the playoffs, even against Florida, he was really good for the Capitals. He has the ability. See, what my big thing is, he's a goalie who can play big games and big playoff moments and stuff like that. And I think Samsonov does that.
Yeah, but you got to remember the Washington Capitals looked at him a long time, and they live with him. They know everything about him, and they say no mas.
Yeah, it was supposedly
really good point.
It was about the qualifying offer. He would have qualified over $3 million, and they're so tight against the cap that they wanted to spend money on Kemper, and they couldn't do both. So I agree with you.
He gets more than $3 million to play in Toronto.
I don't think so. I think he's going to probably. I bet you it's a 1-year deal for about 2 to 2.5. I'd be surprised.
There is something that's going on too, and this is Bill Meltzer brought this up, and I think I just got a text from somebody else that the Flyers could do one of these situations where they would sign Gaudreau for a 1-year deal. Remember, this was discussed with Jonathan Taves. John Tavares in Toronto. Remember
that
this whole concept?
Yeah. Well. Okay,
they sign a 1-year deal, then they can go and extend him to do 7 more years, and then that makes like an 8-year deal essentially.
He's not doing that.
No. They could sign him to a 1-year deal and then sign him to an 8-year deal because he'd be under contract.
Right, 1 year to an 8-year deal. And if they say we're going to do that, that does make the Flyers a little more appealing. I was told.
Think Gaudreau wants to be in Philly that bad?
I do.
Really?
Listen, it might just, if he would have gone for the money, he would have stayed in Calgary. I think the money.
Well, what about New Jersey though, right? If that's set on being near Philadelphia. So
it is, but just from what I've been told that unless Jersey thinks he's going there, so it very well could happen.
All I'll say is this: he's a terrific player. If you're now adding more term to lower the AAV for Johnny Gaudreau, all you're doing is killing your future cap to the point where this team will be in so much trouble in a couple of years if this doesn't work.
Well, let's talk about the Islanders.
Like 2 years.
Let's talk about the Islanders for a second. They have about $11 million in cap space. They also have 2 RFA defensemen in Dobson and Romanov that they have to pay. And Dobson more than Romanov. Dobson, I think they probably, if they're smart, Kev, they want to get him locked up long term because he's a really good defenseman. But knowing Lou, he'll probably bridge him or try to bridge him. But if they go in on Gaudreau and they spend the kind of money that we're talking about, they don't have enough cap space. They're probably going to have to jettison somebody like Josh Bailey or a couple players. That's why it's feasible.
I think they've wanted to jettison Josh Bailey, so I think that's part of their plan, whether or not they get Gaudreau or not. So that's just kind of part of it. But it would be a difficult stretch for him, and you're going to have to pay him. There's no doubt. I thought for sure he was going to be a $10 million player. He's coming off just an incredible year. But as I said the other day, we might have seen the best season he'll ever have.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And now
he's had some up and down years, right? That's why
he's mostly been a very good player, but you're right, Tom. I mean, he hasn't been as consistent as you want to see him. That's why I always felt he was going to leave Calgary, because fans were always giving him a hard time because he's not the most consistent player in the world. So it's going to be interesting to see.
I'll say this. I sat and ate lunch next to Eric Trocheck. He didn't feel like he was coming back because that's the way I broached it to him. I said, I don't think he's coming back. What do you think? And he goes, no. But he actually sat down and talked to him about this 2 years ago. Eric did. So.
Yeah.
The GM of the Edmonton Oilers must be Connor McDavid, because Bob McKenzie is reporting, and I've mentioned this on the show before, that Connor Brown, with 1 year left, and we knew that Ottawa was going to shop him, that he would be traded to Edmonton because his line mate was Connor McDavid with the Erie Otters of the OHL. And now Bob is saying the off again, on again Connor Brown to Edmonton rumors are on again. So, it makes total sense. It's not a long-term commitment. They're looking to clear salary probably because they're going to go in heavy on Giroux. They're looking for a defenseman. I mean, Ottawa's spending a lot of money. I don't know how much better they're going to be. They'll be better, but I don't know.
They'll be better. I mean, heck, we do have breaking news. Andrew Burnett got a 3-year deal from the Devils.
Yeah.
Coach on Lindy's staff. So now
I'm sure
hot seat for sure.
And I know Lindy Ruff has been told during the offseason here that if they don't win in the first 2 months, he's going to get fired.
Right. So they got their replacement. But, Eck, I got to tell you, if the Flyers were really going after Burnett and lost him, again, they're sitting holding the bag trying to get their power play coach, which, again, they haven't been able to do yet.
Yeah, there's another power. I don't know how hard they were going after Burnett, but I think it was out there for sure. I love what Edmonton's doing right now. Like, I think, getting back Kane, getting Connor Brown, getting Campbell. I mean, this is a great. They're so far having the best offseason of any team.
Let me be the dissenter on that, because
I'm sure you would be, Mike. I am
waiting for the Evander Kane bomb to explode. And it's not an if, it's when, because it exploded in Atlanta, it exploded in Winnipeg, it exploded in
Atlanta. What happened in Atlanta?
It really didn't.
It exploded in San Jose.
He's talking about a locker room situation. It was kind of minor in Atlanta. It was.
Yeah. Then it got exacerbated in Winnipeg, and we know how great he was in Buffalo and San Jose. So it's only a matter of time. Is that, I'm sure, if you looked at that deal, he got all signing bonus, veteran minimum contract, plus mostly signing bonus, which is going to the bankruptcy judge probably.
But honestly, I give him credit for doing the deal, because he could have gotten more elsewhere, and he went back to a team, on a team that made sense for him. He went back to a team where he was playing with Connor McDavid.
Well, this is the most sensible thing he's done in years. I will agree.
You think he could have gotten more?
I do.
I do too. Yeah.
I definitely do, and I think he went there because McDavid can be pretty persuasive, and if you're gonna, there's no reason for him to be a bad seed in Edmonton with when you're playing with Connor McDavid.
He just is. He can't help it.
He wasn't last year.
But so you're that confident that he could have got more someplace else?
Yeah, I am.
Really?
Kevin is too. Yeah.
Let me throw this in too. I mean, you mentioned about how he's kind of a bad actor, but Don Waddell had him in Atlanta when you said that he had problems there. Don Waddell was one of the general managers that called to try to acquire him when he was looking for a home. So he couldn't have been that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
The only I don't like, though, the news out of San Jose, how his teammates didn't want him back there. That's kind of nervy to me.
Yeah, but don't you think? I mean, I agree. Like that's I think that is the straw that broke the camel's back. But I do think that it was just too much. It was a bunch of little things.
It was the vaccination issue that pushed him over the edge.
Yeah, I'm sure the treatment of his wife by the other wives were probably like saying to their husbands, like, you're going to hang around with this guy in the locker room after the way he.
No, I mean that's an issue too that really hasn't been talked about a lot. That's true.
And Tom, there were a lot of off the ice issues in Buffalo, and a lot of influence that he had on the core group of that Sabre team, and those players are no longer in Buffalo. So he had a detrimental influence on guys like Eichel and Reinhart. And I just think I understand why Edmonton signed him. He scored a ton of goals. He worked really well with McDavid. They're hoping that stays the same. Like I said, I'm just concerned about the mix there. Now, breaking news here: Jeremy Ruther reporting Robert Thomas 8-year extension with the Blues, $64 million, so $8 million a year. They got that. I think he's got a year left on his contract.
Yeah, that's a good deal because he's still improving every year. Like he's a good player. He's one of their mainstays.
Yeah, he's under the contract, $2.8 million this year, and then he becomes an RF. Well, he would have become an RFA, so they get that news. They get that the business done. So he's signed through 2031. So I think they got
what an increase, eh?
Yeah, right.
$8 million, like that's. They say, well, it's not when you earn $2 million, it's you're not going to change your lifestyle. That'll change your lifestyle.
Yeah. Remember when they were going for the Stanley Cup, and he was on the bench most of the time. Like he was in the locker.
No, it was more Kyrou than him, but yeah, they were sort of like when they won the cup, they were sort of in and out in the lineup type of.
Yeah, he was. He was in the press box with us a couple times, and I remember that. Now he's that big player. The other thing that's going on with Gaudreau and the Flyers for a second is, and Kevin, we talked about this a little bit on the phone yesterday. The buyout of Oskar Lindblom yesterday.
Oh God,
was a really painful thing, right, to happen, and because the Flyers put up with it. Basically, was known that it would take Lindblom a year or so to get back to where he was after going through all he went through. Flyers went through that, and then last year at the very end of the year, Lindblom actually looked pretty good. Like he was starting to put it. Was good. He scored like 12 goals in the last 25 games, I think, and he was pretty impressive. And then to do this,
and they donated $100,000 to some cancer society.
They did that, which is, nice, but that's really feels kind of like I don't know.
Yeah, that's disingenuous. Totally, that's a classless move.
So if if the Flyers fans are basically at the point where they're not lashing out at them yet because they think they're going after Gaudreau. But if the Flyers don't get Gaudreau, I think we're going to see a huge problem with this Lindblom. I think the Lindblom thing is going to be
awful.
Is going to be a real issue.
I mean,
even if they get Gaudreau, it is, but
it's bad. It's bad PR for the first thing. It's bad business because he's still an effective player.
Yeah,
and if you don't get the guy that you did this for, then you look like a bunch of incompetent.
This is the worst part of it. I get it from the cap thing because of his age, but you brought in a coach who likes to play defense. He's your second best defensive player on the team.
Yeah, right.
Russ, I think Lindblom is going to probably end up signing a 1-year deal with a team like Colorado and win another Stanley Cup and then go to Philadelphia and say, hey, folks, what do you think? I mean,
and pay him back the $100,000 too. That was classic.
You don't like that?
That's just like okay, we feel better about things now because we donated $100,000.
That was a weird time. Really weird timing on everything.
Terrible.
I agree with you, Tom. I mean, it didn't. I mean, you hate to sit there and down. They did give $100,000, but
yeah, true.
It just feels like it's not. It didn't.
It's almost like, okay, if you really want to make a difference, okay, at least donate $1 million.
Right. You're just doing it's kind of like look over here. Like
such good guys. Yeah.
We're buying out Lindblom, but look over here. We're getting $100,000 again. Look over here. No, that's what it felt like to me. It was just like, okay, because even when they announced it on XM, they said, yeah, the Flyers buy out Lindblom, but they did make a great gesture of putting $100,000. And I'm like, that's right. It's like just
Pierre LeBrun.
I'm not trying to die. I think it's wonderful when people donate to cancer.
Pierre LeBrun's reporting that the Burns deal to Carolina will include more players. It's not just Burn. It's not just 1-for-1. It's a multiple.
Wow, Waddell coming up this morning, waking up this morning with some wheeling and dealing. What do you think, Kev? You're shaking your head a little bit.
Well, I mean, first of all, I think the wheeling and dealing was last night. Not this morning. So,
you think these deals were made last night?
I think they have been talking about this a while. So.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Kevin, I want your input on this, and Tom, you too. Since the 5-day negotiating window went, there's not supposed to be any talk.
Well, we know that.
But then how is all this business getting? There's clearly tampering. It's like I mean,
it's totally accepted.
Yeah.
And they never investigate it. It just goes on and on and on. I mean, there'll be deals.
Waddell, I think I pocket dialed you, Mr. Waddell. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
By the way,
Waddell's okay because these guys are under contract.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah. But
like Jack Campbell with Edmonton, everybody thinks he's going to Edmonton. Everybody is guessing what the amount is. Okay, he's under contract to Toronto. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, unless they got permission from Kyle Dubas to talk to Jack Campbell, they can talk in generalities with Kurt Overhart, but it's tampering. And it's like, okay. The last coach or general manager I have heard that got wrapped on the knuckles for tampering was when Ron Wilson went on Toronto radio and said he liked the Sedins, and I think they got penalized for that.
Yeah, I mean, during the season, if you talk about another team, they're more willing to fine you than when you're, jump the gun and call up and But they're almost. In the open about it now, and they'll just say, well, we just called and let them know once you get there, think of us.
Yeah, right.
but that there's more discussion than that.
And it's funny. I talked to one team who was involved in this, and I said, are you thinking about trading for the rights? Because it's pretty much like obvious that you're talking to this player. And maybe if you just trade for the rights, at least other teams won't be angry about it. Who were also talking to that player, and they said they didn't care. They're like, nah, we're good. We don't. They don't. It was really just like,
now,
they weren't worried about it at all.
As far as this deal with Carolina, I'm sure it's going to have Netjes in it.
And if it does, Russ, that's a coup for Mike Grier.
But if I'm also San Jose, I'm going after Jack Drury too.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what it is. But Neckish is a really good. Now they probably didn't want to pay him. That's. He was coming. He's an RFA. I don't think that it's realistic. Your favorite thing, the offer sheet. Neckish was one of the guys who was like the number one target potentially for offer sheets. I don't think it was going to happen, but he was a really attractive
Yeah.
potential guy.
He's been slow to develop, but that doesn't mean he won't develop. So
Right.
Don Waddell's my old college roommate, good friend of mine. But I'm wondering, why not just keep Tony DeAngelo? I know he wanted a fair bit of money, but now you're going to have to go and get Brent Burns.
Well, I think it's because what Kevin said. He scored points. He played dumb in the last couple of playoff games, and his play from the puck is still not up to what Brandon Moore's standards would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think
I guess it's one of those things that Burns isn't a perfect player either, though, right? I mean,
but he's physical, and he's certainly mindful of his defensive responsibilities.
And he's very unique. Like, he's a unique player.
Right.
He's a rover.
People will love Carolina. It's a great thing for the fans. Like, it's a great player to pick up for the fans. Like, Burns is really. He's an exciting guy to bring into town. Like,
he also looks like a bootlegger with a beard. So.
He looks like a bootlegger. He's got he really fits in Carolina thing. I think he'll fit really nicely there. He's just he's such there is no player you compare to him in the league. Like, he's a unique guy that way. He plays his own position kind of.
I always like compared him just like Sergei Gonchar because of that sort of rover type of thing. He just
kind of, but he's
bigger.
So much more because he was a forward. He was a forward. He turned into defense.
Right.
He's like he's got a mentality that's totally crazy, and I love it. I mean, I think listen, if say Gaudreau ends up in New Jersey or wherever, Burns is now in Carolina, the Metro Division just continues to pile up people.
It gets harder, man.
The Metro Division is getting tough. Like, the Devils are obviously improving. Ottawa, but Ottawa's also improving a lot, and they're going to push in the Atlantic now. So yeah.
Kevin, look at it this way. They had Dougie Hamilton. They didn't want to pay him on a long-term deal. They had a Band-Aid with Tony DeAngelo for a year. Now, if they get Burns is the guy who's going to run the power.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't know. To me, I'm not saying they're a better team now. If they have to give up players to get Burns, they could have had Tony DeAngelo.
I understand that part of it. I do.
They tried to sign Tony DeAngelo right up to the end. They just couldn't meet they wouldn't meet what he wanted. Yeah. So they ended up, trading for him.
But now so the cost of not paying what he wanted was you're losing assets too, right? You're getting Burns.
You are, but they got assets for DeAngelo. They got a second-round pick.
Yeah, you're a good point. Yep.
Yeah, they got multiple picks. Actually.
Victor Olofsson 2-year contract with the Sabres, 4.75.
I hate this contract, and I'll tell you why.
Yep.
He's their best power play guy. Yes. Why are you bridging him? Give him a real contract. This is dumb.
Russ, I'll give you two words. Why?
I know.
Skinner. That's why.
Yeah, but you know what? You can't worry about Jeff Skinner's contract for the rest of your team's career.
But they are
franchise's career.
They are, and they will be.
Is that the owner stepping in saying that?
Well, let's just right now. I think the financial reins are on the Sabres right now. I'd be surprised. Like Kevin said yesterday, I thought if Toronto gets Samsonov, I thought the main competition for Samsonov was Buffalo because Buffalo has a lot of cap space and they have a need for a goaltender. And I was told by some Buffalo reporters that they want to play Luukkonen down in the minors. So if it's not Samsonov, where are they going for their second goaltender or their starter? And I don't think there's a starter out there. Are they going to play Craig Anderson 60 games? They don't seem to be willing right now as a team that's sort of getting into, getting organized. They don't seem to be a team that's willing to spend more than to the cap floor. And that's going to stunt their growth because they have some good young players, but they need to add veterans to make them win. And right now, I don't think they're interested in that.
I agree. Hearing David Perron's name mentioned with the Islanders, David Perron, for what it's worth. I mean, that's an interesting one. He's sort of been out there.
St. Louis. He's just playing around.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Just okay. Can we go just talk about this for a second? What we talked about yesterday on the Buzzcast. We said is Malkin playing chicken, and he was playing chicken. He was looking for that fourth year, Kevin, and he got that.
He got it. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I just wrote a column about this though.
Yeah,
I mean, the big winner in all this is Ron Hextall.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what he did. He had Rust, he had Raquel, he had Malkin, and he had Letang. People thought he might lose 3 of those.
Yeah.
They thought he might only be able to get 1. and he got all 4, and he got $22 million.
Yeah.
Now he is salesman of the year as far as I'm concerned. Like he hit it out of the park.
I was in front of him at the draft, and this is what I had told Mike, and had said it on the show. You know, he said at that point, "Hey, Letang's close. This is going to happen," and he felt really good about Malkin. And I told Mike, I said, "Ron Hextall, he's not like a poker player where he's going to completely lie to you when there's not even a chance." And that's why I thought this would happen.
And he got Casey DeSmith.
I got worried at the end, like everybody else.
He got Casey DeSmith to sign under $2 million, so he got his goaltending tandem, and he's probably going to move out somebody like Jason Zucker or something like that to alleviate their cap situation. But yeah, Kev, he did a fantastic job.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about it, I just wrote this column. I posted it on Hockey Buzz if you wanted to read it, but he had to hurt some feelings in order to do it. I mean, Evgeny Malkin had his feelings hurt. Yeah, he really did. I think everybody got signed. They weren't giving in on that 4th deal. But I think Hextall thought he felt like he needed to play hardball, until he had everything in order. And then, he got Raquel and everything. And in the end, the hardball paid off for him because in the end, he was able to give Malkin the 4th year. I don't know what Malkin will be like at 39, but I think when you're a legendary figure like Malkin is, I think you can give him that extra year and, suffer the consequences if he's not a player.
Of course, yeah.
I think it's worth it, and I think it's the right thing to do. But I just thought, Hextall has just come out of this looking just incredibly good, and now the Penguins. I mean, you can argue about whether or not this was the right move for them to continue to try to win the cup, but based on what their plan is, they executed it brilliantly. So.
Yeah, they did. They really did, and that is a good argument, though. There is an argument. This is a team that hasn't won a playoff series in a while.
Yes.
And that is out there. But I also
as long as Sidney Crosby can skate, they're a cup contender.
I also think that Rob Rossi deserves some credit. Like I said, for that article he wrote in The Athletic, I honestly think that put the pressure on the Penguins. Like that really put the pressure on the Penguins in a big way to make this happen because they looked really bad in that article. Like they looked like Malcolm was texting his friends.
But Hextall doesn't care about looking bad. That's where Kevin's right.
No, but I do think that other people I do think the Penguins organization, they do. I mean, Hextall probably wanted to do this, but just didn't have the ability to do it yet. But I think they maybe had the ability after that article came out. That's what I feel.
Well, maybe the new ownership decided that the PR hit would be terrible.
It was really getting rough. Like Malcolm was texting his friends on the team that they don't like me anymore. They don't think I'm any good. All this, it's just like that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
he's a little dramatic too.
He's dramatic.
Well, he is, but I mean,
just kind of.
Yeah, I mean, if he may be dramatic, but that's how he feels. He's a sentimental guy.
He is.
So
that's beautiful. I like that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, Jeremy Rutherford just posted that Thomas Greiss is going to sign with the Blues to be the backup to Binnington. Yeah. So Eck is now going to predict the Blues. Yeah. No, but Ross, I'm a little surprised at this because Hofer played fantastic in the AHL.
Yeah, I guess they feel like they want to give him more seasoning. That's fine. He's a young guy.
Yeah, but
you know how good Greiss is. Eck will tell you.
Well,
that one of his boys.
Yeah, he's interesting. I got to see my fill of Greiss. He actually is a pretty dependable goalie, but as Jeff Blashill actually pointed out many times, you really got to monitor how much he's playing. If someone gets hurt and he's got to play 3, 4, and 5 games, you see a considerable drop off.
Yeah, he's a 25 game goal.
Yeah, he's not a guy that can go 30 games or more. He struggled when they had Nedeljkovic hurt and he had to play like 5 or 6 in a row, and it got pretty ugly.
Yeah, I like him a lot, but I like him as a backup. I've always said that. I don't think he's going to be your guy, but I think he's a great guy for a backup because he is able to jump. Like there is something about a guy who doesn't play for a while and then can jump in and play. Which is important. But did you guys yesterday say that St. Louis had a different goalie that was going to be their backup?
Hofer, that's what we were just mentioning. He was fantastic in the Calder Cup playoffs for them. He's I think 22. Yeah. They may think that depending on what they signed Greiss for, maybe Greiss is the backup for a year and Hofer comes up next year, or comes up later in the year, or something of that. But he's a top prospect for them, Russ. right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's a top prospect for them. He's a guy who's been playing well for years. It's just right now they're a Stanley Cup team, and they want to make sure he's really ready. This is the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's a 1-year deal for Grice, and there's no amount yet. I'll bet you it's probably around $1 million, and there you go. They're just giving him some veteran support.
So it's important to announce this, that we now have 6 minutes to go until we'll probably have 5 to 10 signings announced, because they'll complete all these negotiations in 60 seconds.
Okay, so 6 minutes before free agent frenzy begins, let's make
it. Tom, you were as an agent. As an agent, you were in this spot, like going up to the minute that this was going to start, right? Like, where were you? Like, you're 5 minutes before this happens. What are you doing at this point as an agent?
Well, you should have done a lot of work already. You know which team's going to be interested in your player, right? Have everything lined up and ready to go. In some cases, you do already have a deal done. In other cases, you're saying, okay, I've got to get going here. Here's 5 teams that want my guy. They've all said, okay, call me back at noon, and you get on the phone and call him back at noon. And then it could drag on for hours. I remember one time I had Dallas Drake, was a free agent. Can't remember where he was, Arizona, I think. And then he ultimately signed with St. Louis. Took all day long. And found out later, he was kind of crying at the end of the day because he finally got it done. He wanted to be in St. Louis. And he started crying, and his wife got on the phone. And he says, he's drunk. He's been drinking all day. It's the funniest day, but it turned out good. So they've done a lot, as you guys are talking about already. They've already done a lot of work. In most cases, the agent will know pretty much what the marketplace is and what his player, the range, is going to get. So it's much more. It's, you know what, we were talking before earlier too. It's really, really important, like the reputation of the agent for this kind of day too, because if he's known as a bullshitter where you can't trust him, then it really hurts his case to try to get top dollar for him. I had a case with. It might have been Ryan Johnson I had where he was in St. Louis, and Doug Armstrong was there. And I didn't have many teams. Vancouver was interested. But I said to Doug, I said, listen, I've got 2 teams I'm talking to. There's one other team involved, but I really don't think they're that interested. And he said, you know what, Tom, you've never lied to me, so I trust you. So let's go ahead and I think that's how it went, and I've gotten the deal done. So it's
I have an interesting question for you, Tom. I'm going to ask you this. What bidding war do you remember that really surprised you? Like where you thought a player was going to get X and he got twice X or whatever?
I would say the number of teams, based on the number of teams, was Dallas Drake. Yeah, he was a gritty player. You know, he ended up being a captain in St. Louis. He was a valuable player, and it just it dragged on and on all day. And I really thought it was going to get wrapped up within 15, 20 minutes. It just, the teams kept interested. The dollars kept going up. And I think Larry Plow was the GM of St. Louis at the time, and I knew him pretty well from the Ranger days. And he finally said, okay, what's it going to take to get it done? And I told him what it was going to take based on what all the other teams were offering, and he went to that. He wanted him. So
was it how much more than when you started?
It was more years, Kevin. And I think he got 5 years on that. And I was thinking he was going to get 3 years, something like that. So it wasn't as much. The dollars were higher, but it was more the years.
Well, let me ask before we get started, before 12:01 happens and Gaudreau signs. If we want to take a guess of where you think he's going to go, I mean, just go around the horn here. What do you think? Or Tom, you first.
Islanders. I think Lou's going to pull it off.
Russ?
Yeah, he's going to the Flyers. They're pulling out every stop. They're on a suicide mission to get him.
Kevin?
I'm with Russ. I don't know. I don't see him going to New Jersey. I think he wants to go to the Flyers. So that's where I think it'll be.
Ack?
Oh God. I'm gonna say it's New Jersey. And it sounds, as much as I've said what I've said about I agree with what Russ is saying, and I don't know. No, I'm gonna. I don't know.
Take it back. There's nothing.
My head says New Jersey. My instincts say Philly. If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't give 2 answers. Give one answer.
From doing this as long as I've done it, I'm going to say Philly.
Guess. It's a guess.
I'm going with Philly. I'm going to go with Philly. I decided Philly, but hey, it's really good.
I'm saying the Islanders.
Yes.
Okay.
Lou Lamoriello does work. Lou Lamoriello gets on the phone with the young man, talks him into coming to the Islanders.
Interesting thing here from Pierre LeBrun. Okay, so Pierre LeBrun was talking to Pat Brisson, who's the agent for Kane, Taves, and Seth Jones.
Want me to read this, or you got it?
I'll read it.
Okay,
all so he says spoke with those guys. All have no move clauses. Brisson says he's been communicating with his clients and absorbing everything that's been happening with the Blackhawks roster. Brisson says that they're not necessarily in agreement with the direction the team is taking. They will let the dust settle first and then patiently make the best decision for each player as it pertains to their respective careers.
Meaning, get me the hell out of Dodge.
No, meaning they'll wait. They don't need to make a decision today.
Today, right?
No, not today. No. But
I don't think those guys are today.
no, I think they can get more for Kane at the deadline.
But if Kane wants to go to the Rangers aren't going to sit around and wait for him, right? They're going to sign somebody today as a free agent.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So if he really wanted to go to the
Plus,
Rangers,
they have to get a center. They don't.
Right. They need a center more than they need Patrick Kane.
Right. Strom is gone. Right.
right. So that is the thing, though. If he really wants the Rangers, which has been rumored, I don't know how true that is, then sitting around waiting isn't going to help because the Rangers can't wait. They've got to go get somebody.
Right.
Yeah, I really do believe that is true.
Jan Ruta, who has stayed in Tampa for a while, is following Andre Palat and going to market. So Tampa Bay.
Jan Ruta. 12, and already Campbell has signed with Edmonton, I'm told.
Seriously?
5 years, $5 million a year, like we thought.
It's just turned 12.
I'm stunned.
So the Leafs would not give him that.
Major winner this year so far.
The Leafs did not want to give Campbell that contract.
The Leafs did not make an offer to Campbell after last summer,
which was like $2.5 million a year or something like that.
$275 for 3 years. The last year of the deal was league minimum, so they clearly were not believers in him. He goes out and he gets to the All-Star game, and the thing was, the reporting is that Kurt Overhart asked for 5 years times $5 million last year before he made the All-Star team after he'd played like 25 games as a starter, and the Leafs said, "Forget this." They liked him, but they didn't like him that much. So, and they were not going to spend that kind of money on a goalie that was unproven. So, honestly, if the rumors out there that they've signed Samsonov and it's Samsonov and Murray, I like their goaltending 50 to 100%.
What is Murray making this year? What's Murray making?
After the retention, it's about 4.6.
And then Samsonov, what's he on?
We don't know yet.
It'll be at least 4.
Anyway,
it's not a chance.
So you think they're in a better position now with these two goaltenders than they would have been with Campbell?
Claude Giroux has signed with the Ottawa Senators for a 6.5 AAV. So it's a 3-year deal.
Well,
that's
Ottawa's going for it. Ottawa's going for it, man.
Ottawa's going for it. Ottawa has done a hell of a job this offseason.
Ottawa is trying to make themselves look viable so they can sell that team to somebody else. That's what
I don't think so. I don't think that's the case at all.
I think so. I think that's what it is.
No, I don't think that's the case at all. I think that when I was talking to people up there, that the family really wants to do. They kind of are on a mission to make this team work now. Like
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying yes, they're trying to make the team better. But what I'm saying is they're trying to. Oh, Samsonov, 1 year, $1.8 million. There you go, folks. That's a bargain.
Oh yeah, he'll be the number one goalie.
He will be. That's astonishing.
Stop. No, it's not. It's not.
It is. Well, you know what this means is that they'll lose him after this year because he'll be a good goalie and a good team, and he'll have a good season, and then they won't want to give him.
I don't know whether he and I will find this out. I don't know whether he's an RFA with our Brights because he was an RFA. They didn't qualify him, so now I believe he's an RFA with our Brights after this year. So he could stand to make a whole ton of money. And the Leafs could either trade his rights or sign him to an extension. You don't know, but they basically get him at a really low rate. So right now they're spending less money or about the same amount of money, than they were on Campbell and Mrazek, and this pairing is much better.
It is not much better.
It is much better.
We're not going to fight about this again.
I've got minor news that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, please.
The Red Wings it's just minor news, but it's interesting because the Red Wings have announced that they have signed Marco Kasper, and there was some thoughts because of the way that Steve Yzerman phrased it right after the draft that they thought there was a possibility he might actually be in Detroit this year. So. I don't know if I believe that, and because maybe it was just the way he said it, but he said he said we're going to talk to him about where he's going to be next year. I don't know if it's going to be here. Was he talking about Detroit? But it is interesting. They don't normally sign.
No, I believe it, Kev, because like from a physical standpoint, he's ready. I told you, I just don't know what his ceiling is past what he is now. But yeah, I think he could play in the NHL if they wanted him to.
Yep, could be to play in Grand Rapids.
Ian Cole, 3-year deal with the Lightning. Brandon Smith, 2-year deal with the Devils.
Oh,
who was with the Lightning at? Sorry,
Ian Cole.
Yeah, 1 year, $3 million.
Yeah.
Oh,
Brandon Smith, 2-year deal. Yeah, so that's now people are asking me, do we think Gaudreau happens quickly? I don't.
No, it's a complicated contract.
I think and this is why we got to remember Tavares didn't happen quickly.
Right.
John Tavares was like painstakingly slow. Like it was.
I was in Toronto that day. It took to about noon, and it was maybe 1 o'clock, 1:30.
No, it opened at noon. I think it was more like.
It was a couple hours.
2:30, I want to say, like before I really got, because I remember I was at the beach going, and I wanted to go on the beach, and I couldn't go on the beach until Tavares signed. So I remember this very specifically.
Right.
Steve Stamkos took a while too, didn't he?
No, he signed before.
He signed right before.
Oh, he did. That's right. Yes.
Yeah, but he did. But it was similar. It did feel a little similar to this situation, like to me.
Yeah.
Like like Gaudreau could at the end of the day just say, "Oh, I'm going to stay." But. Sure. But I think he's got a baby on the way. His wife's from the area. I think that he wanted. I think basically they just made a family choice.
I can just hear Lou Lamoriello right now talking to him, convincing him to come to the Islanders. Right? It's kind of hard to turn it down as opposed to Chuck Fletcher in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
I don't mean to be critical of him, but I mean,
I agree. Lou's can be a little persuasive.
Actually, you don't think that a decision has been made by Johnny Gaudreau yet?
I think a decision has been made, but he's going to give the Flyers time to figure out some things, and at some point he could end up still not. They might not figure it out. So I think the chances are they figure it out, but it feels like Tavares, where Tavares had San Jose kind of on the side, waiting they could go to San Jose for maybe more money, but so that was always there. Kind of screwed the Sharks a little bit because they were waiting on that year. This could screw the Devils by waiting on this too. But I think that's kind of what I feel. They're going to give him time, but who knows? I give up. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's so frustrating because I can see all different. I feel like I'm living in the multiverse in my head right now. Like I can see all the different scenarios to play out in this thing.
How many teams have deals done, but they're going to wait 25 minutes to add a layer of legitimacy just to.
Definitely.
So.
No, they're gonna pace themselves so TSN and Sportsnet and everybody else can
right. Or they just want to go to lunch. Well, let's go out to lunch when we come back. We'll announce.
Wouldn't that be great? Like you're like, oh, we signed you. Okay, we're done. We'll talk. Should we announce it? Nah, let's go out for a while. We'll let those guys just suffer and on all the shows and figure everything out for a while. It's got to be fun to know that that you have that in control. Sure. You have it done and you're just sitting there waiting. I think that would be fun for sure. Okay, so
so Eck, if I do my math,
if
they gave Gaudreau 10 with the summer cap, they probably could do it now because you get that 10% over.
They have it. No, they do have that ability. That is there.
So they have the ability where they could do it right now if they want to, but then that's going to turn everything into complete frenzy after anyhow.
Then they become the Vegas Golden Knights. They become.
I'm surprised they're not in on it.
Well, okay.
Right, exactly.
Can we just
Vegas is going to sign Kadri and Gaudreau.
Can we just talk about them for a second because it came out this morning that they're going to announce the Riley Smith and Brett Howden extensions and that they're shopping Max Pacioretty, which I've been saying they're going to shop Max Pacioretty since they didn't make the playoffs because he's 1 year at $7 million and he's been injury prone the last couple of years. Now the only thing is that Mark Stone is probably going to be out till the All-Star break with his, I think it was a hip surgery. So, there's going to be a lot of pressure on the other guys on that team. But I think they want to keep Riley Smith. They're going to sign him long-term. The whole purpose of them clearing space beforehand was to do that. I don't know. Kev, do you think that there's a market for Pacioretty out there?
Yeah, but it's not a one where they're going to, hit a home run with the deal,
No.
because, but Pacioretty, if he stays healthy, we don't know what he's capable of. So yeah, somebody will take him. So
yeah, I think so too. And it's another guy that's been kind of a key player for them. So it's not the easiest guy for them to trade. I mean, he has been in like this phase 2, like he's been Stone's limey, right? So that's
yeah. Well, what about Pacioretty to Nashville? They're looking for. They really don't have. They really want to forward in the $4 or $5 million range, but they could move somebody here or there and maybe get up there, or maybe Vegas will retain $1 million, and they could move a guy. But that's exactly what they're looking for. They're looking for a scoring winger.
Hey, Ak, have we done a show together since your prediction about Vegas not making the playoffs came true?
No. Huh. So thanks for bringing it up, though. I appreciate it. I do.
Decided.
You're the best, man.
Not that this is a great bulletin, but basically Ilya Mikheyev just sent out through his agent, Daniel Milstein, thanking the Maple Leafs management for 3 years. So he's obviously going free agency. John Shannon is reporting the Anaheim Ducks are in on Mikheyev. That makes sense. Justin Schultz, according to Elliot Friedman, going to Seattle.
Yeah.
2 years times $3 million each. Good depth defenseman, not a bad signing there.
Offense, yeah.
I'll tell you, sitting out there, that let's all go around the horn and say a player that's sitting out there in free agency, maybe that you would go for, that no one seems to be talking about, because I've got one that I really, really like.
Dominic Kubalik.
Dominic Kubalik. That's a good name. That's a good name. Yeah, because he's out there for sure.
He could be somebody that a team like Toronto or other competitive teams. This is a guy who scored 30 goals. He's a guy who might sign a 1-year deal for less to get good numbers to go out in free agency in a year or two. So I think
and some people feel that about the guy you just mentioned, Mikheyev too, that he's a dangerous player. Like I think
good player. Just he's not the scorer that he was last year. I think he's a 15 to 20 goal scorer in a regular season. Good defensively, good kid. I hope he hits it big.
My guy's a Ranger right now, or was a Ranger, and that's Frank Vatrano. Like I honestly think, if I was going to sign somebody in a smaller deal, I'm going for Frank Vatrano.
That's a good one. The issue on him, and I brought it up to you before, everybody who has him loves him.
Yeah.
They just don't love him for as much as he wants to be paid.
Right.
That's the whole thing. Like if he were willing to take a little bit less, everybody would keep him because they really like him. But he wants to be paid like a big time scorer, and people don't really don't see him as that. They just see him as a guy who's going to score goals, but not really be an elite level player.
Yeah, I think what he is he's a clutch goal scorer. Like I've noticed that in his career.
Yeah,
he doesn't score a lot of goals, but he scores goals that you remember, and he scores goals I still believe that was the biggest mistake that Florida made last year, was moving away from him, because
it was a mistake. I agree with you.
He scored some goals for them during the regular season that won them some of those games that that they shouldn't have won, the games they didn't play very well in, and he would score a goal at the last second and win it.
That's a good one, Ak. I like him. He played really well for the Rangers.
I'm going to give you my hometown guy, Sonny Milano. Had a good year, 14 goals, speed. He's got he's stronger than people realize. If you hook him up with the right offensive player on your team, you could get 14, 20 goals out of him again.
Zach in the chat is reporting this. I want to see if it's I'm not doubting it, but I just want to see it.
He's doubting it.
No, Russ. I mean, come on. It's like
we are a legitimate podcast, so check it, Mike. So
Jeez.
Kevin is doubting you too.
Yeah, St. Louis Blues apparently are close to keeping Nick Leddy.
That's exactly what I was reporting.
Is that what
my guy nobody's talking about? Lindblom from Philly.
Yeah, I think someone like Chicago should pick him up, honestly.
I just think it's a great story too, right? A motivated player. I think for the rest of the guys in the locker room, seems like when he was going through his treatments, the rest of the team just adored him. They really he's a good team
guy, great family. Some of them follow me still. I
have the best troll move here. Lindblom to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I like that. Seriously.
I would see he's the kind of, he would help them. He's a little bit like anybody. He's a little like Kapanen, like to a degree, like not quite Kapanen's level, but he reminds me of Kapanen in the way he plays.
I think I think Kapanen's better offensively.
Kapanen's better offensively. Lindblom's probably better defensively, but the Kapanen's
Now,
not bad defensively either.
Right.
So
it's
like
a great story too, right? It's the guy you want in the locker room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, like you said, motivational. Absolutely.
Somebody brought up Max Domi's name in the chat.
I got their team for Lindblom. Seattle. Seattle should be all over that with Dave Haxtell.
Yep. I like that.
Russ, I was stunned at this. Sam Steele is a UFA. They didn't call.
He's not fast. That's the problem. Like his foot speed. If his foot speed were better, more teams would be in on him because he's got the other skills, but he's just not fast.
Somebody did text me this morning.
He's like 5'10" too, so it's that too.
But Ak, have you heard anything on Max Domi? Because there's been a lot of Toronto speculation with him, but it would require him to basically take a 1-year deal at less. I
actually heard Montreal with him again.
Oh boy, Montreal
did the fans loved him. Like, if Montreal wants to do like a half decent move, like as far as PR goes, it's another. They hated that trade when they traded Max Domi.
Why can't he stay someplace? Like I watch him play and I think, wow, this guy's a pretty good player, right?
I know, right?
Well, that's it. Yeah. He's pretty good. Yeah. Sometimes he does make some bad decisions on the ice. He doesn't come up big. Sometimes he has good offense, not great offense.
Yeah,
like he's good, but you want more from this guy.
He's a tweener, and the thing is that he's been paid as a front line guy. He's been making $5.5 million.
Hey, Patrick Nemeth cleared waivers. Shocker.
Who did?
Nemeth.
Oh,
he's
I just told that the Sharks have
the modern day Tom Laidlaw. No offense.
The Wild.
Russ, I thought we were close, Russ. I thought
we are close.
Couple things for my text. The Wild have interest in Sam Steele.
You were better defensively.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
The Wild have interest in Sam Steele, and the Sharks have interest in Lindblom.
Sharks do.
The Sharks. That's good.
Yep.
So those are the two. There's a two. In my notes, is what I have for those guys right now.
No, Nemeth is a modern day Tim Waters. Come on.
I played with Timmy Waters.
It's funny. Look, I know I kill Nemeth.
It's a different. If he played back when we played, he probably would have been
fine. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the issue.
Yeah. Ranger fans did not like him at all.
No. But that was a dumb deal. It was a multi-year deal.
Yeah.
It was just stupid. But again, that's one where you could say that came from the analytics department because he was an analytics darling.
Russ, ever since they got him from Detroit, Brendan Smith is basically being passed around the Metro Division. He goes
as a physical defenseman. That's what he is now.
The Rangers, Carolina, and now he's going to the Devils.
Remember when he was drafted, he was supposed to be an offensive defenseman by Detroit.
Yeah. His deal is he's very good in the room, very well liked.
Yeah.
Coaches appreciate the energy he brings.
Sticks up for his teammates. Yeah.
Does he's got all the intangibles.
Yeah.
Vancouver signs Curtis Lazar to a 3-year deal. He's been a good fourth liner in Buffalo, in Boston. I'm sure
he's another one of those guys. He is a good guy.
Feisty.
He's got decent, strong, and he can play like good puck possession game. Again, not what they were hoping was in Ottawa when they drafted him, but really a good guy, and he's managed to stick around the league. I appreciate that.
My guy is the best Austrian Swedish player, Barahovsky.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he's 6'3", he scored 22 goals.
Yeah.
Last year, had I think 8 points and 12 playoff games. I think he's kind of an overlooked player.
He keeps getting passed around too.
Yeah, he's a good secondary scorer. Not a great player, just a very good secondary scorer.
Yeah, I think people are up kind of like a little. Whenever I talk to people about him, I get such mixed signals on him from the way people feel about him. Like some people think
weird. If you interview him, he doesn't give you a real good read on what he is, and I don't think he does it, positionally on the ice either. I think he's a hard guy to figure out who to put with, where to place him.
Yeah.
Is he a second liner? Is he a third liner?
Yeah, I agree. And he's had his ups and downs, and then he played really well in a contract year. Some people question that a little bit, which I hate. Hate when people do that. They're like, oh, he's in the contract year, so they're going to play. But I think that's a great pick. I really do. And
Well, the other guy I wanted to bring up because I think he's an interesting player, but boy, I sure get mixed signals on him when I ask people about him, and that's Dylan Strom.
Yeah.
Like, people just don't like him for whatever reason.
Really?
Well, there's been I just think it's the foot speed, Kev. I think the other stuff is good because, again, someone pointed out, hey, when he was with, Kane, he did great. Yeah, I get that. But you're not getting him to put him with Panarin just because that'll elevate his game. You've got to, elevate the whole line, and he doesn't really do that.
Yeah. I think the speed is an issue for sure. But there seems to be more beyond that. They don't trust him as a consistent offensive player either. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up and what he gets.
And Kev, there's been a lot of reports of tying Ryan Strome and Dylan Strome together. The thing is, they're both centers. That wouldn't work unless there's a team that is so bereft at center that they need two centers.
Well, I've heard Montreal tied with Dylan Strome, and I've heard Nashville tied with Dylan Strome too. But that's this morning. I don't know. They
wanted Nashville definitely wants a winger.
Okay,
I'm sure of that. So and they want a scoring winger. So I thought maybe Berehowski for them. They don't have a lot of money to spend. That's the biggest.
Yeah, they're kind of up against it, right?
But Toronto might be their guy, though.
Could be.
So, a little bit of a thought here with the concept of Gaudreau has not gone anywhere yet, and we were everyone was thinking, okay, it could be quick or whatever. I will throw out that the longer he's not signed, the more likely Philadelphia is the destination. I think because he could easily sign in New Jersey right now for a big number. Mm-hmm. And if he hasn't signed yet in New Jersey, I think there's a more likeliness that they're waiting on Philly to figure it out, or the Islanders perhaps. I don't one of the but so I don't think they're just holding off for the hell of it to make it look legit. They could be, but I don't know that they are. I think that this is probably not.
I'm actually surprised that we haven't had more players.
Yeah, it seems to be everything around the periphery right now. Renaud Lavoie is reporting Xavier Ouellet, a 2-year deal with the Penguins. That's a league minimum deal. It's more of an AHL deal because it's a 2-way contract. So the big names really haven't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Giroux, right up in Ottawa. That's the only one.
Yeah, Giroux.
Yeah, that's kind of the biggest. Giroux and Campbell, I guess, are the biggest ones that have gone so far.
Yeah, and I mean, and those are ones that. I mean, please, we've been talking about Campbell to Edmonton for a week. And we've been talking about Giroux to Ottawa for a year? He might want
for a very long time. Yeah, I've been saying that forever. I thought that's where he was going to end up eventually.
I really, I said to Tom this morning, I really like what the Senators are doing. I'm really bullish on that team.
But do you, Kev, do you agree with what I'm saying is, they've got an ownership situation where the children of Eugene Melnyk, they may want to hold on to the team, but it's likely that they're probably looking to sell the team. And the way the team was in their current construct, they were a not playoff team. Now you have Forsberg and Talbot in goal. You've added DeBrincat. You're adding Giroux. They've got a good young core with Stützle and Norris and Tkachuk.
Don't forget Sanderson. He could be Cider. So.
I was going down to defense. You've got Shabbat and you've got Sanderson. I think they probably need to add a defenseman or two. But if they do, then I think they're a contender with Boston for a wild card spot. So I like that team. Sooner or later, if you've drafted well, and they have, those younger players come of age, and and they're not just good young players, but Brady Tkachuk has bite to him, and he's a franchise player.
And Sanderson is too. Sanderson is a big time defender, and can really handle the puck. So I like that team. I like them even for this year. I don't think they can win the cup, but I think they can compete for a playoff spot, particularly now that they have a goaltending tandem that I think works. Yeah. So.
Mike, I think that the goalie was the big thing for Giroux to go there. I thought when they got Talbot yesterday, because I know I've talked to him many years, and he'll never go to a place that doesn't have a goal. Doesn't have a goalie. He's a big believer in that, and going to Florida he didn't want to go to Colorado even because he wasn't sure about the goaltending. In Florida he was was going to have good goaltending. He basically. Them getting Talbot yesterday made me really think that they were in on that. Giroux was
and he gives them credibility.
He does.
The ability for them to get him says to the rest of the league, "Hey, we're legit." So
yeah.
Tom, what was your question?
Mike, you mentioned the ownership in that. You're looking to sell the team. Is that what you're mentioning, the ownership?
Well, ever since he passed away, there's been speculation that, I mean, all of a sudden the moves are starting to, the momentum is starting to build about a downtown arena. It seemed that he was the impediment to that. I just know that he had a lot of debt, and that situation, that the family may have to sell the team to pay off some of those debts. And if they make that team attractive, and the NHL, I'm sure for franchise value is going to, keep it at the same value as like Pittsburgh or some other teams. I mean, not as much because they're in Ottawa, but I think the league wants to keep them in Ottawa. I think viably, Quebec City would be a great place to move that team if they can't get an arena deal done. But I think what they're doing on the ice is they're making that team more attractive to attract buyers to sell that team. I think
but an owner is going to go and look at the books. He's going to look at the talent level of the team, but he's going to be more concerned what the bottom line is.
Right.
It's like, are you generating enough revenue with the fewest number of people working? I know when Don Waddell went into Carolina, that was his job because they were losing a lot of money. So his job was to get it back to the point where at least they're in the black or as much as possible. And then they were way more attractive. It really wasn't as much the performance on the ice. Although, having said that, obviously the better team you have on the ice means you're going to be selling more tickets too. So it is
sure. Yeah, no, for sure. And this is, they're in a division where they can make some noise. Like that division, they have a couple teams that are obviously the two Florida teams are right there, but it's not as if they have like 5 teams that are fighting for playoff spots. And I think, Boston, who knows? Boston could return. We haven't talked about like the Krejci thing, like, Krejci coming back in, like, does that make Boston better?
And Bergeron's really not said anything about his future, right?
I think
Bergeron's going to sign.
Last night, I think in the middle of the night, I heard that he was signed.
Yeah,
or it was close to being announced.
It just hadn't been announced, but Krejci's coming back, and now you've added. And I don't know if this is the case, but I saw some reports that Zacha is very close with David Pastrnak, so they want to get him locked up on a long-term deal. He's buddies with Krejci. They're bringing him back. It just seems to be this post Bruce Cassidy stuff that is happening in Boston is sort of like, okay, everything is like, let's bring that team that had a bunch of success a couple years ago together again. It may be the fact though that team is too old, but they're bringing, and Bergeron is a fantastic player and Krejci is a pretty good player. So, I mean, we'll see, but the window is closing on the Bruins
for sure.
And a lot of people are texting me about the Robert Thomas trade and like wondering what the heck. Like that's just a big number for Robert Thomas. That's like
he's a really good player.
He's a really good player, but is he an $8 million player already? Like is that where he is right now?
Well, he's 23 years old. Here's the reality here. They have a year left on Ryan O'Reilly. They have a year left on Vladimir Tarasenko. Both are making $7.5 million. One of those guys is not coming back because now they're paying Thomas $8 million.
Yeah.
They're probably going to keep their powder dry and see what's going to happen with Matthew Tkachuk in Calgary because he may sign a 1-year tender offer and then go UFA. And we know that as much as there have been rumors about Giroux going to Ottawa, there have been rumors about Matthew Tkachuk going to St. Louis. So they're sort of a floating situation. And I mean, I think they're contenders this year, and they lock up a guy who they drafted and developed, and he's a really good player. So I don't have a problem with that. They're spending their money on their key players, and he's one of their key players. And Jordan Kyrou is going to make big money too.
Poor Calgary, they lose Johnny Gaudreau, and then they lose Tkachuk down the road.
Well, I was going to ask Kev. I mean, this is a team that a lot of people thought I picked them as a dark horse to come out of the West. And now they lose Gaudreau, and I don't think there's really a replacement out there in free agency. No. Kadri will not go to Calgary because he rejected a trade to go to Calgary a few years ago.
It doesn't mean he won't go now. I was told.
I'd be shocked at, but anything's possible. If they throw stupid money at him, maybe he would go, but I don't think it's the case. And they have the Tkachuk situation, Kev. So what does Brad Treliving do?
Yeah, like they're not that far removed from having to reset. If they've got to trade Tkachuk, they are going to have to do that. Like, I mean, if you're going to trade Tkachuk, you do it now and you get younger assets.
Agree.
And and because you want to.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But the only problem is just losing Gaudreau too. You're right. I think the smart thing to do is to trade him now if you think you can't re-sign him. But man, now you've taken Gaudreau and him out of your lineup.
Yeah, you're no longer the team you were before.
You're not a playoff team.
But the Rangers and Trocheck look like they have a deal.
Oh, wow.
Talking about Trocheck being their guy.
The Leafs have signed Nicholas Aube-Kubel, former Flyer, to a 1-year contract.
Stanley Cup champion Nicholas Aube-Kubel.
So he can break the cup when the Leafs win it next year.
He's a good guy. He's a good player too. The Flyers really just were ridiculous in not keeping him, but Trocheck, 7-year deal. Wow.
How much money?
I've not heard yet. Working on that.
To where?
My guy here.
To where?
Rangers.
Wow.
That's a good move. I like that.
We talked about it just a second ago, right? Trocheck was a good made sense with them.
Yeah,
that's nice.
1 year, Vincent Trocheck, 7-year deal with the Rangers, Russ.
No, it's a good deal. I mean, if I would rather give Trocheck better money than giving it to Kopp. I like Kopp, but Kopp at times didn't want to be on this. He was getting moved out of the center position by Gallant and was playing the wing in playoffs, and that worried me a little. The Rangers need someone at that second line center that is rock solid. Yeah, Trocheck's that.
Yeah, he's a good face-off guy, good defensively, and has enough offensive.
Yeah, he's a little bite to his game too, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Feisty, very feisty.
The one thing I wanted to say to Eck about Tom is he's almost 50% on face-offs. He's physical. Does a lot of little things on the ice that don't always show up on the stat sheet either.
He still loses more faceoffs than he wins. You're saying he's almost 50% on faceoffs.
Yeah, that's good in this league, Eck. And
well, it's not that good.
I know. I mean,
it seems like it's not good, Russ.
No, it's not. If you're below 50, if you're below 50, you're working after practice on your face.
David working after practice. He's never even gotten to 49.
Yeah, but here,
you still think losing more than winning is not good.
Go look at the top face-off percentage guys in the league. It's not much better than that.
Here's the key thing here. Robert Thomas is 23 years old, and last year in his second full, because he had some injuries early on, second full NHL season, had 57 assists. He's a good player. He's a really good player. 1 year, $1 million on Aube-Kubel with Toronto. I think that's a really good signing.
No, it's a great signing.
Lots of teams were interested in Trocheck, which I was just told that's why he got so many years.
Well, yeah. Well, there's no doubt the teams are interested in him.
$5.625 million.
No, that's great. I give it to him over Kopp. Just my feeling.
Pretty much the same deal, right? Like,
no, that's more. I think Red Wings are gonna. I think Kopp's coming in at like 5.1 or something like that.
And what did Trocheck get?
5.65. That's less than I thought he was going to get. I thought he was going to get $6 million.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, well,
so I guess he went for the years. Like he went for the 7 years. Because
I
mean, 5-year deal for him, I thought would be more like it is 5.625 for Kopp in Detroit, Kevin. Same thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's per Darren Dreger at least.
What's the how many years for Kopp?
5.
Yeah.
So 2 more years for Kopp. No, 2 more years for Trocheck. I mean, but yeah, that's pretty good number.
He's 29 now, so
who Trocheck is?
Yeah,
that's taking him up. That's a lot. That's a long deal for them.
It was.
I mean, that's for 20. Yeah, for 29.
This has been a weak spot, even though Strome has been there. It's been a weak spot for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, Strome was okay, but
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to jump off for a little bit.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead.
Back. I'll be back.
Absolutely.
All right. Talk to you, brother.
See you back in just a bit. That's
I like that deal a lot. I think that really makes the Rangers a better team. Yeah,
a lot.
It does. I wonder. I still wonder what's going to happen with Patrick Kane and them, though. I still just.
Here's the thing with the Rangers too. Remember they traded for Sammy Blais from St. Louis. He missed the whole season last year, so that's almost an additional. Well, not almost. It's an additional player again. And I like him too. Is that third, fourth line guy?
Right, for sure. No, I agree. I think. I mean, the Rangers are.
I could see the Rangers getting Kane at the deadline. I think that's why you saw that out of Brisson.
Okay, you think they
I
could hold off on that for
agree
a
with you there, Russ, on that one. I agree. I just hope they don't have to give up a whole lot because, again, they already went to the semifinals. Now, again, Shesterkin's a big reason why is that, but he's there. That's the
I mean, look, they'll probably have to give up like Kako, and they'll have to give up one of their young defensemen and some picks. And for Patrick Kane, what does he have? 2 more years left or 1?
Yeah,
1. This is it.
So this is it. So maybe 1 pick. And you make that deal. It does give you a chance to get to the cup.
Yeah, it does. I mean, he's still a very, very valuable player. Like Patrick Kane's still playing.
And then again, you know what, Russ? I like your idea too because you wait until the trade deadline. Plus, it gives you an opportunity to see how much better Lafreniere's become. Hedl, all those guys. Maybe you say to yourself, then these kids have improved so much we don't need them.
Right.
You go get them.
I saw somebody send me a message. Please hide David Perron so no one sees he's there. Someone sent me that message. I love that. I like to throw a blanket over top of him.
He always seems to sign contracts with St. Louis, regardless of where he ends up.
Yeah,
he does. But this year it feels different. I mean, it feels a little different. I mean, they just did give Thomas a lot of money.
Yeah. What about LA? What about LA Kings? Anything?
Yeah, they want scoring, and that's what I keep hearing, that they want scoring. And I eventually think this is where Patrick Laine ends up, but I don't know that trade's going to happen yet. But I still really believe that Patrick Laine. I've heard Patrick Laine has hopes to be an actor. I've heard this from people. That he does, and he wants to go to LA to be an actor. Like he wants to be a hockey player, but also like start in his acting world. So.
I just don't know if he fits into the culture they're building there now, though.
It's a good question.
I think they're heading in the right direction, right?
They really are. I thought they were very, very good.
What happens in Winnipeg with Wheeler, Scheifele, Dubois?
I think Scheifele stays now. Dubois is another one where they have to gauge if he's ever going to re-sign with them or not. That's what they have to gauge.
And didn't he come out and say already that his deal's up? 2 years?
But I would say this. He kind of wears his heart in his sleeve. I would ask him again.
Right.
Yeah, Montreal's been rumored with him for a while, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and
I just hear that locker room there in Winnipeg's a problem, right?
I mean, Blake Wheeler's name came up a couple times.
I don't know if he still is.
Yes, is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Blake Wheeler's name came up a couple times over the last week too, when away.
But the thing with Wheeler and the thing with Scheifele is that once Rick Bowness came in as the coach, it sounded like they were going to keep the gang together because he's a guy in Dallas who kept the gang together.
He's a strong personality.
Yeah. No, he is a good man. People respect him,
Yeah. No, that's for sure. That is definitely true.
Look, I like the Canucks signed Wyatt Kaliniuk for a year. This guy's got offense in his game. I mean, if there's nothing wrong with having a depth offensive defenseman.
Yeah, for sure.
And Miller there, he's still under contract, correct?
Yeah.
So a lot of times
stays is another story, but he might not get dealt right away.
Yeah, I'm thinking with Jim Rutherford, he seems to find a way all the time, right? I know he's not the GM there now, but he's still going to be.
And he's still there.
Yeah,
he's still there. I think JT Miller will be a consolation prize to either the Devils or the Islanders, but if Gaudreau goes to Philly.
Yeah, but they have to give up a lot of value for JT Miller. I mean, he's not going to be cheap to get because it's a 1-year contract at $5.5 million, and if those teams are giving up value for him, they're probably going to want to sign him long term.
They're probably going to want permission to talk.
And you're confident Vancouver will trade him?
Not positive, but they came really close apparently at the draft. Apparently the Islanders and Vancouver came super close to getting a deal done. So much so that Lamoriello was really ticked off about it, which is
Now Kevin Weeks reported, and again, this is going along with the get the gang back together in Boston thing. He was reporting that the Bruins are talking to St. Louis about bringing back Torrey Krug.
Why they ever let him go? They didn't even make a contract offer to him.
No, that was dumb. It was just dumb.
Yeah, no, that was a huge problem. They definitely.
And that was when they let Chara go at the same time. So you're losing two top 4 defensemen. You're like, yeah. You get that.
Mike, are you hiding from us?
Maybe that was a Cassidy thing. Are we going to blame that on him too? I feel bad for Cassidy. Like,
it does seem like it, right?
Check. So,
gotcha, no problem.
We need to have a little intervention here on the diet that's going on here.
All right, Tom, go at it. Go ahead. This is Tom's chance to fight with Mike while we wait. Tom, take Mike down on this goaltender situation.
Oh, the Matt Murray thing?
Yeah.
It's too late now, Eck. You missed your opportunity.
I know, but I want Tom.
I think it is. I think it's one of the deals. Listen, I hope it works out for them, right? I hope they do.
Yeah.
But both goaltenders they've got there now, the other teams that had them gave up on them. They just didn't think they're good enough anymore. So now they also have shown times where they were good enough. So the Leafs could have something where you get into the season and both goaltenders can't stop beach ball for 2 months.
Right.
And then what happens to that team? Now they can score a goal, so I guess you can always win games 8-7. But I just and the flip side could be that if things go well for them, they get two good goaltenders. One is on a 1-year contract, so he's motivated to prove himself.
Right.
The other guy had been in the minors, so he was embarrassed obviously by that, and now he's going to come out and play well. So they could be all motivated and they play great too. But it's just like you were saying before, it's just such a gamble with both these guys with such a good hockey team. And window, I mean, they're well within their window still, but that window is going to close sooner or later.
Yeah, well, I'm weighing it in terms of if they had stayed with what they had or go in a different direction. To my mind, was Jack Campbell an all-star? Well, he was selected, but do I really think he's an all-star goaltender? No. I love his story. He came out of after being a first-round pick of the Dallas Stars, toiled in the ECHL and the AHL, got with the LA Kings, got traded to the Leafs, got an opportunity to start when Freddie Anderson went down, had a good half season with the Leafs in that North Division, then had a pretty good first 2 months this year where he put up stats that were equal to Igor Shesterkin. And after December 1st, he was an below average goaltender. He was an .899 save percentage.
He was good in the playoffs.
He was good, but they didn't win. And they didn't
lose because of him.
Russ.
The other thing that I'm going to argue with you on is you don't luck into being an all-star. You're acting as if, he got in there because it's like the Pro Bowl.
No,
other guys didn't. He was playing at an all-star level.
What part of that he had a good first 2 months did you not hear? He had
what part of did you not hear that he had a good playoffs?
He was good. He wasn't good enough.
So but then, if he wasn't good enough, you just as many question marks, if not more, with Matt Murray.
Right.
But Matt Murray has proved what Jack Campbell hasn't proved, that Matt Murray can win in the playoffs. Now, he won with Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Letang in front of him, but when it came time, Matt Murray was a championship goaltender.
In a galaxy far, far away. This is a long time ago.
Well, Russ, again, they're not. I don't think. I think that their plan was to bring in a second goaltender and to split time with Murray. I think they think the upside on Murray is something that they believe in. They know him going back to the Sioux, which is with Dubas is always an important thing. Max Domi to the Hawks, according to Flames.
So he's to the Sabres. That's a big loss, Mike.
Who's? That's a good signing. That's a good signing.
So I have a bigger question for Tom. Who is a better coach, Bruce Cassidy or Ted Sater?
Oh God.
Anybody but Ted Sater. And you feel bad too because the guy works so hard at his craft to be a coach. He worked the practices were meticulous, attention to detail, all that kind of stuff. He just had no feel for the game whatsoever. No. And he listened to Mike Keenan too much too. He wanted to be a Mike Keenan protege, where these games that they want to play, mental games. I get like the Mike Babcock.
Sending everybody to the minors.
Yeah, I mean that was ridiculous. I mean we couldn't score any goals, and we had Pierre LaRouche playing down in Hershey, and we had a meeting one time with 3 captains. Yeah, it was myself, Ron Greshner, and Bob.
Hold on, for younger people out there, Pierre LaRouche was a gifted 50-goal scorer.
Was a 50-goal scorer.
We had a meeting. We were out in LA. We couldn't score any goals, and the coach came out by the pool, and it was Bob Brook, myself, and Ron Greshner were the captains. And Ted Sater gets over. He says, "Well, what do you think we should do? Do you think we should call up Pierre LaRouche?" And Ron and I are looking at us like, "Yeah, you should call him up." Oh, it's hilarious. We've laughed about that since that meeting. It was just the funniest thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Pierre LaRouche was such a good goal scorer too.
And it was just all the proof. We had Mike Rogers and Nick Fatiro up at Hartford. Oh, yeah. Mike Rogers was a good player. So there's just so much about this game plan. Like he wanted to make it look like he was taking control of the situation. It was just, and guys laughing. We had one practice where we played a game in Pittsburgh the night before and played terrible. And we were supposed to have a day off the next day. Ted Sater gets on the bus. He says, "Okay, no more day off. You're going to practice tomorrow." So we all go to practice. We get on the ice. We warm up. He lines up the whole team on the goal line. And again, the three captains, Bob Brook, myself, Ron Gresher, he says he skates us for about half an hour. Like every time he did down and back, you didn't pass the puck enough. Down and back. And the theory was that he wanted to make all the other guys feel bad. The three captains,
right?
Skate. The other guys are laughing at us. Like, he didn't feel bad. And we had this young guy, Mikko Holman.
I'm sure Patia was probably laughing the loudest.
Oh, totally, yes. The other guys, it says veteran guys who are like, I don't feel bad for you, yeah. And we had this Ramo Helman. Ramo Helman was a really nice young man, Finnish or Swedish, I can't remember. He comes up to me after this whole thing and goes, Tommy, why are you only 3 skate? Like, he didn't even understand what was happening.
Yeah, that's great. Just some signing news here. Arizona has signed Nick Bukestad, Josh Brown, and Troy Stetcher. So they're filling out their lineup so they can tank for Connor Bedard.
Those are all inexpensive players.
Scott Powers reports the Blackhawks have signed Max Domi and Andreas Athanasiou to now I'm assuming 1-year contracts. But
that's a good deal for him.
That's surprising to me.
No, but he could get a lot of goals there.
Well, I like Athanasiou. I'm a big fan of that guy.
He plays with Patrick Kane. He scores 35 goals.
He's a seriously exciting player. Like Athanasiou is like he reminds me of a little bit of well, I can't think of who it is. I'm losing my mind. But there's somebody. I like Athanasiou. I think he's a fantastic.
He reminds you of somebody. That's good.
He reminds you of somebody. He's fast. He's super fast. He has like that that really. I'm throwing this freaking tip of my head. Tip of my tongue. But he really, and Kevin Allen will talk a lot about him because he was in Detroit for a while. He just can't. He looks like he's like Kevin's whole joke about Athanasiou is he looks incredible until he gets right to the net. Like he has the puck, he can make incredible moves. He can he can beat people in neutral zone. But then the second he gets to the net, he doesn't know what to do with the puck. Like he doesn't know.
Yeah, 1 year, $3 million for Domi and Athanasiou. So Lyubushkin got or Russ. I'm sorry, I like Lyubushkin. This is the reason why he didn't get re-signed by the Leafs. 2 years, $2.75 million. That's a way overpay.
That's way overpay.
Yeah. Nick Leddy re-signs in St. Louis, 4 years, $4 million. That gives credence to the Krug rumors because Leddy is a power play quarterback.
Yep.
So that's a possibility now.
Wow.
Did you sign a goal scorer or you just Athanasiou? I'm just kidding. It's a joke. That's my joke. It never really quite works, but almost does. I've tried it many times.
Did that work at Yuck Yucks or there's the dog?
was it like
Jesse? Everybody at X House, if you walk past that area, we could see you.
I know. That's my son.
It's like the old guy. Remember Jesse Boliris?
Yeah.
Him?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Jesse Boliris.
Jesse. yeah. Right. Right there.
I did a show with Larry Melnick the other day, and I don't know how we got on the topic, but he called Oprah Winfrey Orca Winfrey.
Oh my goodness, Lord! Holy cow! Who is? Sorry, ignore this call. I apologize, guys. Athanasiou. I like Domi too. Like this, they're interesting players because they both, can really. There's going to be lots of space in that Blackhawks lineup to play.
I was just going to say, so why do that? I guess you just got to fill in the lineup, right? So
yeah, but why? Like if you're tanking, why do that a little bit? Because
like that. Arizona is tanking big time. So.
Yeah,
but I guess this isn't just the one spot you're after. Although this
those top 3 spots, you get any of them, you're in good shape.
Is that right, Russ? They're all good, all 3 guys.
That's the thing. It's a 3. You want to get Bedard, but everybody knows we may not get him. You get in that top 3, you're sitting pretty.
Exactly. I agree.
And that's why Chicago went so hard because Fantilli played for the Steel. Even if they come in 3rd, that's a good signing for them. It's a good draft for them.
Russ, I forgot to tell you something. I was listening to NHL radio probably about 2 weeks ago, and you were on. I was like, man, our boy's pretty good.
All right, thank you.
Good job.
I appreciate that.
No, Russ he knows what he's doing, man. He knows what he's doing. He's a good.
Yeah, I think you were talking about all the draft prospects and everything.
Yes.
And let's go.
Yeah, that was I got that treatment for 3.5 hours there and back and 4 days in the drive. Russ and Shane Malloy, the hockey prospect radio guys, and Anthony Mangione. It was draft talk for great for like 4 days, and it was great. But
even Eck listened to my pre-show, so that was appreciated.
No, I
So
listen.
Russ, how are you getting all your information about these kids? Are you getting to see them play?
I do it firsthand. Yeah, I either go and see them, or there's a service called Instat that has a lot of video,
Right.
and so I mix it.
Cool.
Some people are really confused. I just got a text from another GM. What are the Blackhawks doing with this? Like, why is again like what are the Blackhawks
What do
doing?
you think the Blackhawks are doing?
the Blackhawks have cleared so much salary off their roster by not qualifying Kubalik, by not qualifying Strome, by potentially trading one of Kane or Taves. They got to get to the cap floor. So these are 1-year plugs who they'll probably trade at the deadline. They'll flip someplace else, and there'll be roster fillers. They're going for Connor Bedard like nobody's business.
Oh, man,
Red Wings are signing Oli Mata, who still plays in the league, which is astonishing to me.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like Oli Mata's been around
So
forever.
the Rangers are signing Mata
The Red Wings.
on the Red Wings. That makes sense.
The Red
I
Wings,
get the whole
1 year,
thing.
$2.25 million. I mean, Oli Mata's had a more like he's like a cat with 9 lives type player to me.
Yeah, they're just throwing around money now, Detroit.
Alex Edler signed yesterday with the Kings. I mean, this is a guy who made $6 million only a couple of years ago. Now he signs for a veteran minimum with the Kings just to stay in the league, basically.
Yeah.
So,
And the Kings know what they're doing. Like Edler will be fine with them.
Yeah, he makes some sense there. He does.
This whole tanking thing, I got to tell you, I get it.
Eric Comrie to Buffalo. There you go. There's your. So now your tandem is Eric Comrie and Craig Anderson. That's a winning formula.
It's a formula.
Right. I thought Craig Anderson was going to retire. Wasn't there some talk of that?
No, they're going to pay him.
Yeah, they paid him $1.5 million. And you know what? I have to say, Craig Anderson played really well last year.
Yeah.
But he just can't play, 45 games
Right.
anymore. If he plays 25 to 30, fine. And Eric Comrie's young, and he had a good 16 games with Winnipeg last year. Do I think he's a starter? No. I think at best he's a tandem guy. Maybe this is a situation where he's if it's a short-term deal, they bring up Luukkonen at some point during the middle of the year, Russ, if he's playing well. I still think they want to get a look at Luukkonen as the number one, but what I was told in Montreal from some Sabres people was that they were going to add a goaltender. Now they've added Eric Comrie.
Yeah. I mean, look.
Right, here's a good one, guys.
I told the story. Comrie was ahead of Thatcher Demko in their development at the same time. They know each other, and Demko's gone way further than Comrie. A lot of people were banking on Comrie back in those days.
Speaking of goalie, what happened to Holtby? He's going to miss the whole year next year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His career is starting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was labrum. I think it was a hip injury.
Did he trip over one of his turtles? Remember the story when he was
he couldn't cross the border because of his turtles.
He's one of the most fascinating guys. Like
I
love a guy who has first of all, a guy who keeps reptiles. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's a great thing, but also just all of his Buddhist type voodoo.
Is he like that? Oh,
yeah, it's really cool. He says there's a bunch of different things.
We've got the details on the Shark Hurricanes trade. Okay, Brent Burns and Lane Peterson to Carolina for Steven Lorenz, goaltender prospect Etu Makanyemi, and a conditional 23 third-round pick. The Sharks are retaining 33% of Burns' $8 million
Carolina.
What's that?
That's a great deal.
Great deal for Carolina.
They didn't give up Neckish. They didn't give up Neckish in that deal.
They didn't give up Neckish. They did give up a lot of vowels though. Like Etu Makanyemi, it's a lot of vowels in that name.
So yeah, like you'd think for Burns that San Jose would have got a lot more.
San Jose wanted to get. They love him as a player, but they're just choked by that comp.
But I heard this is a rumor that I have. Hearing this is really tough, but maybe possible that the Florida Panthers could somehow move Bobrovsky today.
Ooh.
Well, they just signed Colin White.
Toronto will sign him.
Smart. Colin White signing.
Who signed Colin White?
Florida.
Florida did, yeah.
Florida's going to move Bobrovsky to Toronto, so they'll have somebody have another inconsistent.
Ilya Mikheyev has agreed to a 4-year deal with the Vancouver Canucks.
Good Good signing. Good signing.
4 years, 4.75.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Way overpay. But I'm happy for him.
I don't know if it's a way overpay.
It's a way overpay.
You don't think he can ever score 20 goals again. That's why you think it's a way overpay.
I knew this would be. I just throw this in there. You guys would go for
But
it.
again, you have nothing to base that on.
I have 3 years of watching the guy to base it on.
Okay, but Mike, you're never taking into account a player developing and getting more ice time and opportunity. You're not counting for any of that.
I saw him in his 25, 26, and 27 years. He is what he is.
I don't know about that, Mike.
Okay, well,
It's not like he came into this league as an 18-year-old.
We'll see. We'll see over the 4 years in Vancouver. By year 3, they'll be asking to buy him out. I mean, the fans will.
No.
We'll see. I mean, I like I said, I hope for his success. I like him as a he's got a really great personality. He went through a lot of stuff with he had a skate cut injury on his wrist that cost him one of the most of his first season. He's battled injuries. When he finally got healthy this year, he really played well. Had 21 goals. Like I said, I hope he has success. I don't think it's like Jack Campbell. I don't think he's worth the money that he just got.
I mean, I'll donate $20 to the charity of Bill Zito's choice if Sergei Bobrovsky gets moved today.
Yeah, right. Seriously, I'll do that too.
All right, I'll do it too.
Believe me, I don't know how.
I want to see it.
Really, that would be a miracle. That would be the trade of all time.
Well, this is not coming directly from Florida. This is coming from another team that's heard that it's possible.
What's he got left? 6 years left in his deal, or 5 years?
That's a good
5
question.
years, maybe 5, right?
So the Brent Burns contract is now $5.28 million per year for the next 3 years with Carolina. So that's what they get him at.
And again, what did D'Angelo get from Philly?
$5 million times 2 years.
And and Carolina didn't have to give up a whole lot, so I guess they upgraded.
There are 4 years left on Bobrovsky's contract, by the way. 4 years.
Russ, you think he upgraded?
4 years on Bobrovsky to go.
4 years.
Which isn't.
That's 3 years too many.
I know, but it's getting reasonable, to a degree. Like it's getting 4 years and $10 million a year. It's still like it's getting.
They're not there yet. The minute the cap goes up $4 or $5 million, then you're getting closer.
But then the other team that's picking him up is going. Okay, there's another inconsistent goaltender, right?
Right.
Yeah. Unless they feel like they can fix him. I mean, he still has good moments.
Oh yeah, yes. I agree. His good moments are fantastic. Yeah.
Is this true that Halak is going to be the Rangers' backup goalie? That's what it looks like.
That's what Larry Brooks says, so I'm sure it's true.
Yeah, that's the if Larry says it, it's done deal. It's not, buy a house.
I like Halak.
Well, Ross, that means it's
how
just
old is he?
37.
Pretty old.
37.
Yeah, we saw him in the playoffs.
That mean what that means, Russ? That means that Shesterkin is probably playing 55 to 60 games.
Yes, absolutely.
When Jaro Halak was a rookie, I interviewed him, and I was writing for NHL.com, and I said, "What is the biggest thing for you now that you're an NHLer, a regular NHLer?" And he said, "The food."
I love it. Nemestikov has signed a 1 year deal with Tampa.
Everybody likes them.
He goes back to Tampa. There you go.
I like Nemestikov.
Who's Tampa have as your backup goaltender? Is Elliott still there?
Elliott, he's got another year left in his contract.
He's got the greatest job.
Plays. Yeah. Brian Elliott barely plays.
He's got the greatest job in the world. Like honestly, he's a funny guy too. Like he is a great guy. And I just love the fact that he's there backing up Vasilevsky. Like I think this is like
Halak $1.55 million for 1 year. That's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
Details on Giroux's contract with the Senators: $7 million, and $5.5 million. The 3 years, full no move clause throughout the. Yeah, he's not going.
That is an overpayment for Claude Giroux. I'm a Claude Giroux fan, but that is an overpayment for Claude Giroux.
Yeah. He didn't need a no move contract.
I don't think with that number, no.
Yeah, that's what we are.
See, I'm trying at this point in Jaro Halak's career, I'd match him up with Doug Soetart. That's why.
There you go.
Doug Soetart.
Sophie.
Nice.
How about Steve Baker? How about that?
No,
he's to the wings.
Wow.
Wow.
He's better
Oh
than
my God.
Tom, all I can tell you is in my youth, hearing Jim Gordon, doing shot save, rebound save with Steve Baker and JD and
Steve Weeks was in there. That's nice,
yes, it was. Watching those games on WOR when I was a kid, it was just
Ed Mio for a little while.
Yeah, Eddie Mio, yeah, and Bill Chadwick doing
and the big whistle, Bill Chadwick, who every time they played Toronto, for some reason he says, that Daryl Sittler, he's a dandy, and he just kept saying the same thing over and over because
that's how I learned hockey from Bill Chadwick. No one in my family taught it to me.
All right, so Ben Sherrod is signed with Detroit. That is really interesting. Like,
it shows how far he's plummeted, honestly.
No. Credit to Kevin Allen. Remember what he said months ago. He said that the Red Wings were looking for a defenseman, a veteran guy, not too old, somebody who could help Sider and Edvinson, and as a stable guy. And Sherrod's a stable guy, and
but it shows he is no longer a guy that the big teams, the big playoff teams want.
Right, his limitations were exposed. Yeah. Okay, so let's
checking on one thing. I'm about Gaudreau. 1 second, right back.
Speaking of Bill Chadwick, we had a big brawl my rookie year, 80-81 against the Kings. And Bill Chadwick and Jim Gordon were doing the game. And I'll never forget his famous line, "This is going to set the game back 30 years."
Oh, is that the one where Patillo came down in the suit?
Yeah.
That's for people if they want to watch that. That was great.
Oh, please. When Nick Patillo was beating up on Paul Pajot, the third-string goaltender of the LA Kings.
That brawl was unbelievable. That was
That's a classic.
Oh my God, it was so good.
I was talking about Bob Nystrom the other day with Kevin Allen. We were doing a show together. He started laughing at me because Nystrom knocked me out cold in a playoff game. And in a playoff game, had to spend the night in the hospital. But I said to Kevin, I said, "Man, I got total respect for him." Kevin goes, "Hold on. He knocked you out and you had to spend the night in the hospital and you got total respect for him?" I said, "Well, yeah, I guess that sounds a little weird, but that's
I get it. But Eric Nystrom, when he was drafted, he found out like I'm a Met fan and this and that. And he goes, "Oh, you would love my father, Bob." And he's over there. And I'm like, "No, I wouldn't." Like in my head, I'm like, I scored an overtime goal against my team that made me hate him. Yeah. And I still ended up talking about him.
Tom, anything is possible. With the Detroit, Colorado documentary on ESPN, most of it was Claude Lemieux being interviewed by Darren McCarty. I'm like, I thought these guys would want to kill each other. Yeah. They each other, and like it was like, okay, it's like post career. Yeah,
it's almost like after the fact, you kind of respect those guys more because
that's what I've noticed. Like writing, I feel like Tom's era and maybe even the era after Tom. Players have more respect for each other than nowadays, and especially after the fact.
Yeah. Well,
two people have told me this is pretty big news that they have been told the Flyers are out on Johnny Gaudreau. Now, this is not from the Flyers, so I'm trying to get it confirmed from the Flyers before I do this. But the two people have told me now this, and there's somebody from the Devils and somebody from the Islanders. So I think that
let's see it. I believe it when I see it.
They both feel like that it's coming down to the Islanders versus the Devils. Devils higher contract offer probably. Islanders maybe a little bit closer to winning. Hard to say. I don't know.
Oh yeah, they are.
I think they would be
Lou in there. Lou doing the talking for him.
Yeah,
if it comes down to those two, the Islanders are going to win.
Screws to him. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, the Islanders are going to win if it's down to those two. I just don't know if it's down to those two yet. But look, I've always said, I don't know if Johnny Gaudreau wants to play in his home rink. I don't know that.
Yeah,
Gaudreau thinks that the Islanders are close to home. He's sorely mistaken if he's never driven the Long Island Expressway.
Unless he can take a helicopter.
To get to South Jersey from Long Island takes a really long time. Russ. I mean, it's like that is not an easy road. That's not an easy trip. No. There's no trains. You got it. It's just really kind of crazy.
But you hear sometimes where a lot of people say, well, he's from Philly, so he wants to play in Philadelphia. A lot of times that's not true, right?
This was true in this case, though.
Was it?
Yeah, I do know the family, and I do know this was true. But I agree with you that that's not true a lot, and quite often it's actually a hindrance. I think some players are like, it's a lot of work. You gotta suddenly you gotta hire somebody pretty much to handle your ticket situation.
Yeah, and they're always wanting to wait after the game, and they don't.
Yeah,
they're great people. They love you to death, but they're sitting around having beers, and you're in a bad mood because you lost.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the Flyers are, like I say, I haven't gotten confirmation from the Flyers that they're out on Gaudreau. But they're definitely out on Gaudreau.
I'm going to tell you why.
They're out on Gaudreau. But
I'm going to tell you why I think
definitely out on Giroux. Yeah.
Definitely out on Giroux.
I'll tell you why that information I think is coming out, Ek, because Chuck Fletcher has yet to do anything about JVR, and because nothing else has happened, there's probably people inside that building that think we can't do this. But it still doesn't mean something won't happen.
You know, I hate to be like this too, because Chuck Fletcher's a good guy, but I don't know if he's up to like the job. I just see some of the stuff that he's done there, right?
I agree.
Russ, here's a commentary, and we're gonna hear this probably the next couple of years from Charlie O'Connor, who covers the Flyers. The fact that Carolina was willing to take on 3 more seasons of a 37-year-old Brent Burns at $5.28 million a year, but weren't willing to give Tony DeAngelo $5 million per $5 million says something.
It does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Well,
really
you watch Tony DeAngelo play. He's a fantastic player.
Yes.
It's all about Tony DeAngelo out there.
It is.
And also, he is a great player.
Frank Petrano signs with Anaheim, 3 years, $3.65 million.
Yeah, nobody's giving him that. He finally got paid.
Oh,
yeah, he did. He's going to be. That's a great. I mean, I like where
he'll play with Zegras or McTavish.
I definitely like where Anaheim's heading. Like I said, that's one of my guys.
I would have thought he would have got more than that. That's a good deal for Anaheim, I think.
It's a really good deal. I'm surprised that Florida didn't take him back for that. Honestly, like I thought they might.
Yeah, 3.6 for Petrano is kind of high.
You think it's high?
Yeah.
I guess I saw him play here at the Rangers, and I thought he was incredible.
Yeah, he's better in the playoffs. I like him in the playoffs, but you got to get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well,
he was great in the regular season, Russ. He was like, I watched every Florida Panthers game last year. I was just super impressed with him. He completely, they're one of my teams away from home type teams, and I watched every Florida Panthers game, and I thought that he was a glue type player on that team, and I just really thought they traded him away so they could trade for Giroux, and I just wasn't sure about that move. As much
he
as
had 13 points in the playoffs. That's a higher rate than what he had in the regular season.
Oh, it's definitely higher than the regular season. But his regular season, it's not just like I said. It's not just his numbers. It's like when you watch him play, he scores at times that matter. Like he scores goals. Every goal he had seemed like it was a really clutch goal.
He had 3 game winners. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah, the night before he gets traded, one of those game winners was the night before he got traded to the Rangers. Like he literally scored 2 goals in that game for the Panthers and got traded 3 hours later.
Maybe he'll prove to be worth it. He might.
Leafs sign Adam Gaudette to a 1-year league minimum $750.
I still think there's something with Gaudette, but the problem is the skating's not great.
Right.
Oh, I thought that was another goalie.
that might be a Marley signing, Russ. That could be a Marley signing.
Yeah. But Gaudette's a character guy. You want a Hobie Baker. He's a good guy.
Yeah. 20.
Russ, should we have any kind of a wager on what's going to happen with the goaltending with Toronto? We're making all these statements. We should kind of put our money where our mouth is.
My wager is Matt Murray will play 34 games and they will shut him down.
Think he's going to get hurt?
Shut up.
I'm telling you what I feel. I'm not saying this for your benefit.
I know exactly what's going to happen, guys. If you want to know exactly what's going to happen, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen here.
Go shoot.
This is what's going to happen. Murray's going to start off really strong. He's going to he's going to come out of the gate. He's going to be solid. People are going to be like, oh, this is a great move. Matt Murray's and Samsonov is going to look good too. And he's going to come in and he's going to play games here and there. But, there will be a little bit of a debate as who's the best goalie. But they'll be like, we'll go with Matt Murray for now. We're paying him more and all that stuff. So, but then Matt Murray will get hurt. Samsonov will take over for a while and never look back as the starting goalie. Murray will come back in, but not be the guy. But Samsonov will be so good that we will be talking about this exact same thing 1 year from now about the fact that they're not willing to pay Samsonov $5 million a year. And Toronto will again be looking at Matt Murray as still being there because his contract still goes on. And they will be now looking for another goalie. And this will be after they lose in the first round again.
And it'll be another general manager.
Yeah, the only caveat is, and we've not seen Samsonov really elevate his game in the playoffs. He had a 9-12 in the playoffs last year. He still may be the guy that's in the playoffs for the Leafs, and they still may lose in the first round.
Right. If both goalies are healthy, which is the big question mark, if both goalies are healthy, Matt Murray will be the starter in the playoffs.
Just was told that there's a possibility that Kadri is going to return to the Colorado Avalanche.
Oh, wow. How are they doing that, though? They're up against the cap, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're
not up against the cap. They have a lot of cap space, but they have decisions to make as to where to go with it.
Okay, here, let's look at their cap situation right now. So reflective of the signing of Nichushkin, and they are currently $9 million under the cap.
And you got to sign McKinnon next year.
They got to sign McKinnon next year. Now, Eric Johnson retire?
Yes.
If Eric Johnson retires, then they have $15 million on the cap.
He will retire. I was told he will retire.
You give, what does Kadri get? $8 million?
Probably 7.5 to $8 million to return to Colorado.
And then McKinnon gets what? 11, 12 next year?
McKinnon gets 10.
Don't he's getting more than 10? He said he'll take a little bit less, maybe.
Right now, McKinnon is making 6.3. He took a it's probably the best bang for the buck contract in the NHL. If Johnson retires and they bring in Kadri, and Kadri's making 7.5, it could be an 8-year deal. No, wait a second, it can't be an 8-year deal anymore because it's past the deadline. If it's a 6 or 7 year deal and they spread out the AAV, maybe he comes in under 8 to stay in Colorado, but you're probably going to have to clear somebody else.
Right.
But that's also taking into consideration they re-signed Manson. Next year they got to re-sign Bowen Byram, so they're going to have some issues. They're going to probably
sticking with my other prediction, guys. By the way, that Klingberg is going to be the most disappointing thing that we've seen in a long time.
Well, nobody's talking about him.
Yeah. Like that I think he's going to be one of those guys that's just left, hasn't remember who was the guy?
Cody Franzen.
There we go. Thanks, Mike. I knew you would know that right away. Mike, you and I need to do charades sometime. Like we need to play. We played Hockey Pictionary. Mike and I would kill because we've been doing podcasts for such a long time that I could say one word and Mike knows where I'm going with it.
Thomas Caberlet.
He is the Cody Franzen of this year. Like people like him a lot, but no one thinks he's worth what he wants to get.
He's going to get 9. He's going to get 9, like the rest of
He wants $8 million.
He's not an $8 million defenseman. No way, shape, or how.
Okay,
he's like a $6 million defenseman.
I'll check this out, but he's saying Cervelli is reporting that Klingberg is going back to Dallas. So you know what that means? Dallas was in on Burns. They didn't get him, and now they're willing. Now let's see if this is being.
I don't think that he's going back to Dallas though. But I don't agree with this. I don't often disagree with Frank Cervelli.
I was in front of Jim Nill. And someone asked him
really?
Hold on. I was at the draft in front of Jim Nill. Somebody asked him about Klingberg, and he said he hadn't talked to him then. So at that point, I got the picture. He was out of the picture. Now, if he comes crawling back, who knows?
Kulak has resigned in Edmonton.
Wow.
This it's shocking. He's from Edmonton.
I know, but I'm just showing.
Cervelli reported lots of rumblings that Klingberg and the Dallas Stars have re-engaged, not confirmed, not done, but makes sense. Dallas missing out on Brent Burns. That's what
let me talk about Frank for a second. Okay, so not like in a bad way, just like I respect Frank for what he's done. He's the president of the Professional Hockey Association, an organization that I will never be a part of. But that's okay. He's there, and that's good. Because they won't let me be a part of because I use the name Eklund, so it's a big.
We did try for you. We did.
I've spoken before them. I've actually talked but anyway, regardless of that, I like them. They're Kevin when he was there, whatever. All right, so. But Frank has I've said this many times. If you want to know where rumors are coming from, if you want to know what to believe in certain situations, you need to know the players and who their key people are. Every reporter has key people. Tom Laidlaw is a key person for me, for example. Here he is, right? You know this. It's not a secret. But Tom's, Tom's one of the most connected people I've ever met. Tom knows everything that's happening in the NHL. But go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say LeBron's reporting Mason Marchment to Carolina.
All right, that's a great move too. All right, so but let's talk. But Frank Cervelli, remember when Frank was with TSN? We all know I was sitting next to Frank when I was sitting next to Russ when the whole Frank thing went down. Oh my gosh, we'll never forget that day. We don't have to talk about it here, but my good Lord, Frank tried to screw Russ pretty big. Anyway, that's another story for another day. But so then Frank, gets fired from TSN or whatever, which was he got screwed. He was getting screwed at TSN anyway, really bad contract. Anyway, regardless, he goes on his own. And what does Frank do? So who are Frank's big connections? Frank has made friends with the agents in a big, big way. Like he is an agent's guy. So much so that and you know this, why do you know this? Because when Seattle's whole thing came out about who was going to sign, who was going to be the new player on the Seattle Kraken, Frank was ahead of everybody. Remember, Frank had like every play. This player's going to Kraken. That's because, and who would know that besides Ron Francis, who's not going to say anything, the agents of all those players. Frank is in bed with the agents. And sometimes when you're in bed with the agents, you have to be careful because agents will, some of them are cool. Some of them are not. They can be shady. Yeah. I know how many times I've called Tom, who was an agent, and say, can I trust this agent? Can I trust that agent? Some agents you can trust, but there's a really big thing with agents that they will sometimes tell you, hey, would you mind throwing this out there for me and seeing what's going on?
Yeah, well, I mean, Nick Kipriosa has that is clearly, I mean, he's from the Sportsnet side, he's always been tied in with the agents. He's very pro player. So, I mean, that's always been the reputation that he gets his source materials from agents.
Right.
Brett Kulak, I'm sorry, again, I think Ken Holland should retire. Brett Kulak, 4 years, $14 million per. That's $3.5 million per Brett friggin' Kulak.
He's making $14 million a year, Mike.
No, $14 million on a 4-year deal.
Okay, you said okay, cool.
It's too much for Kulak.
Holy
Sergachev. What's a lot more interesting? Sergachev is extended with the Tampa Bay Lightning for 8 years.
I want to go on record and say something. He's not Ryan McDonough. He's not a perfect replacement for Ryan McDonough. And the McDonough thing is going to hurt Tampa. There's no question about that.
But they had to do that, right? Didn't they?
Yeah. I'm not saying they didn't, but people are like, well, he'll just step in and he'll be there for McDonough. It's like McDonough does so many smart little things on the ice that Sergachev doesn't even know how to do.
Right. He's a perfect number 2 defenseman, really. Like, McDonough's not a number 1. They tried having him here in New York. He's not. But you're right. I agree with you. He's a good player. Yeah.
You hold on to your hats here. By the way, there's conflicting information. Somebody's saying Kulak is 2.75. That's still bad.
That makes more sense.
But Sergachev, 8 years, $8.5 million. Oh my friggin' God!
He's buying dinner next time.
Where was he at? Like, is he an unrestricted free agent coming up?
No. Yes. After next year.
That's $85 million over the course of 8 years for those keeping track at home. That is a good amount of money for a guy who was traded from Montreal long time back. You know,
it's $68 million.
Yeah, 68.
8.5 times 8 years. But
so I'm wrong. Okay, well there you go. I don't know anything about math.
I mean, here's the weird thing. Okay, I get that prices have gone up for defensemen, and this was his career. You know, this was a great year for him. 38 points. He's never gotten over 40 points. Now he's a good defender, and he's a really good skater. I don't think he's a rock solid defender, but if he's not at 50 points a year, I can't give him that kind of money.
No way.
Wait a second, Tom. Question. I thought there was something with the agents thing that you couldn't do an 8-year deal today. Once July 1st hit, like midnight last night, I thought you couldn't do 8 years.
He's not a UFA. He's not a UFA. He's
okay. This is okay.
An RFA with arb rights.
So that is true, right? Like you can't, like Gaudreau couldn't after midnight could not sign an 8-year deal.
I know Mike said that earlier, and I kind of thought for a second. I'm not arguing with you, Mike. You seem pretty confident about that. I couldn't remember that, but is that?
Yeah, I think it's a midnight deadline the day before unrestricted free agency that the team that has the player. That's their deadline for the 8-year deal. After that, it would be a 7-year deal. That would be the max.
So, like with Kadri, then, so he gave up a year, really.
Could have given up if he goes back to Colorado. Yeah,
he was never going to get 8 years from anybody. He's 30.
Kadri's doing the my least favorite thing in the world today. Like he is. We should talk about that too. He is doing the tour where he has like teams coming and offering him things, and he's doing that famous, like I call it the Brad Richards tour. And it's basically where people come to town.
They go to
Remember the Brad Richards thing?
Yeah, they go to the agent's place and
it's the worst. And you know, in this day and age, it makes 0 sense. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to the agent's place. This is probably a Zoom thing, but you know, the idea here is still that what's happening there is teams who are interested in Kadri are, you know, they have to be careful because they're going to miss out on things. Like there's going to be things that are going to happen while you sit around and wait for Kadri. Like
see, and I agree with you. That's kind of hot dogging it. I mean, what's the point of that whole thing? I mean,
so tell me how much you love me. You know, like just show me. I want to know how much you love me.
I want to, you know.
It's
not only a beautiful man, but a powerful man.
It's the Rod Tidwell thing from Jerry Maguire. Show me the money. But no, okay.
Yeah.
Look at the defense of the Tampa Bay Lightning now after now Sergachev has been re-signed at 8.5. Now that doesn't kick in until next year, but next year, this is their defense. Victor Hedman, Sergachev, Cernak, the three biggies. Now, Ian Cole, Zach Bogosian, Philippe Myers, and Cal Foote. Russ, that's not the defense that got them to 3 Stanley Cup finals.
No, it's not. I mean, they're going with mobility, which is fine. Cal Foote is still developing, so we don't really know what he is yet.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of forwards that are defensively responsible. They do. Look, I think they can get away with it for a little while, but I just think, like I said, in a big game, even though McDonough was getting older, I still saw him make some plays that they're going to miss because, part of not having the goal score at the wrong time was Ryan McDonough a lot of times.
Listen, there's no question the team this year wasn't as good as the team they had. They won 2 cups, right?
No question.
But I think they're saying in their organization that they built this culture now that they can win with less talent, right? Because they're kind of forced to win with less talent.
Right.
But I'm with you totally. McDonough that's a downgrade. Losing McDonough, there's no question about it. But I think just the sense I'm getting from looking at them from a distance is that they believe that they've got that secret.
And you can't expect much more from Vasilevsky. You just can't.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah.
And Hedman wasn't the Hedman that was.
No.
Right.
Yeah, he wound down a little.
Yeah. And that could, who knows, maybe it's just, I can't remember if he was hurt or not. But he's still one of the best. No, I agree with you. Listen, that's a lot of money for that. Jeez,
oh my gosh. So much money. So much money. And honestly,
they're desperate. That's if they want to hopefully get to the Stanley Cup, they had to do that.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. I know. But oh my gosh, holy cow. That.
Alex Stalock, 1 year, $750 for Chicago.
Alex,
yeah, he'll spend the entire year on IR. There you go.
Hold on.
Imagine you're Seth Jones, Patrick Kane.
Oh my God.
And you're sitting there watching this and going, okay, no disrespect. These are the guys I'm playing with now.
No, but here's what I want to say.
You're right. It's
to have
absolutely
this thing
crazy.
Alex.
I mean, especially when Kane goes in and makes this big statement, I'm here, I'm going to do this. Anyway, go ahead.
I used to have this thing with Stalock on the show, but this was pre-COVID. I'm just happy somebody has signed Stalock, and hopefully he can return to form because he had the heart condition after COVID. I'm just rooting for the guy to actually come back.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's right.
I mean, he's gonna be battling Mrazek. And I think that whenever you battle Mrazek, you've got a good chance at getting a lot of time because Mrazek is going to go down and he's going to, he is the perfect goalie to sign when you were tanking. That's all I can say. The Mrazek signing is perfect. It looks like you're doing something legitimate, but you're maybe not.
Anthony Cirelli, 8 years, $6.25 million.
All right, so Tampa's getting their business done now. And Palat is not being mentioned, right? That's.
No, I think he's out.
I think he's gone too. I would not be shocked, guys, if he ends up. Here's my big surprise thing. If I was the big one crazy thing today,
Detroit.
Palat ends up in Florida as a Panther. Check that out. That could happen, I think.
Ooh,
that would be pretty fascinating. Palat is definitely a Zito type player.
Mm-hmm.
If I were Calgary, I'd go after Palat.
That would do a lot for the Tampa Bay Florida rivalry.
Wouldn't it? It would be great.
I think Calgary should go after Palat.
Yeah, Calgary?
I think Calgary should. I like that they got Marchment. That's a great move, man. That's a great move for them. Calgary. Our Calgary fan in the Randy in the chat room. Randy, you gotta like that. That's
Carolina got Marchment.
Forget it. I'm sorry, Randy. I didn't mean to do that to you.
Carolina
got Marchment.
Yeah, Carolina.
Sorry, Randy.
Plan B in Philly? No, Palat would be like plan C or D in Philly based on the feelers they put out there and what they were kind of making known. If they fail on, and look, it could be a complete bonus that they fail on Gaudreau because I don't think they should have made the signing. But they're the ones that put it out that they're going to try and get him. So now if they get Palat, they're in a weird spot because it's like the fans will be like, it's not Gaudreau. And then other people like me will be, well, it's more responsible because they're probably rebuilding in a year.
Well, okay,
there's a split in the fan base now.
What this here? Let's interpret this.
Russ.
Let's interpret it this way here. What this tells you, it's Cirelli signing an 8-year extension. He was an ARB of eligible RFA, and Sergachev signing. And between them, it was 8.5 and 6.25, so almost $15 million. Alex Killorn is a UFA after this year. He's gone. Nemestikov is as a UFA at $2.5 million. He's gone. Ian Cole is a UFA after this year, $3 million. He's gone. So that's $7. That's $10 million there. So that's a healthy chunk towards those guys. Yeah. So they're going to have to, but they're probably going to have to
cap going up a little bit.
Yes, $1 million. So Bob McKenzie saying Cernak's eight-year deal is being finalized. So they're doing.
He's a mainstay. I can't.
Wow, they're going really long deals there in Tampa.
Because the AAV getting lower. That's why.
Yeah, but I get it. But at the same time, that.
And all these guys are young.
Starting to come off of them a little bit.
Listen, Julian Breezewell is not really thinking about the 2026 season right now.
But all these guys are young. All these guys are not. They're not 20.
These are young. This is like the next generation of Lightning, right? So you're looking at basically
Sergachev is 24, Cernak is 25, Cirelli is 24.
Yeah.
So they're all
still playing with Javier. That's pretty.
And you got to lock in those contracts. The cap's going to go up, so you're going to have more cap space.
Right, but that's not going to happen for 2 years.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right, that isn't going to happen for 2 years.
So to answer. Oh yeah. I was going to answer.
Yeah, but that's a compliance buyout. It doesn't count against.
But but he's just getting $1.75 million.
So is Bobby Bonilla. What does it matter?
Right.
It matters to me.
Get fascinated with that. To answer Nickel City Grunge, how long will Arizona have a 5,000 seat stadium? 1 season.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know. I mean, Mike, that's more than I pay you per year. I mean, he's getting more than I'm paying Mike per year, and that's like
they're going to be somewhere else. I'm not even sure Tempe's happening. So
you mean they'll be in another city? They'll be
moving? Oh yeah.
I hate to see a team move, but man, that's an embarrassing situation.
It feels like Houston, Tom. I know you've been talking to people, but Houston, what do you think about Houston with that? Maybe
Houston is if they can make it work in Vegas, who would have thought that the hockey team is going to be that successful in Vegas, right? Houston's the 4th biggest market in the country, I believe.
Yeah.
There's arena already there, that basketball arena. I don't think they have a second tenant there, right? I think it's just a basketball team.
No, it's just a basketball.
Yeah, so I think Houston would be a great city.
$5.2 million on Cernak for an 8-year deal.
Yeah, he's a mainstay. I can't.
That's a great deal. 4 years from now, that's going to be a hell of a contract.
It's a solid.
You're right. That's
witness relocation program. Jan, what is happening? Is your family okay? Is everybody all right?
It's called actually being at work.
Okay,
Jan,
I get it.
So Jan, give us your opinion.
We're all at work.
Give us your opinion on the Trocheck signing.
If anybody's been reading my tweets, I'm kind of in a nice Twitter war with guys. So look, I love Trocheck. I liked Trocheck a lot when he was with Florida. Right,
I'm stunned, man.
From 2015 to about 2017. Then he had his injury. In my opinion, I'm not in love with the 7 years. I'm far in love with the $5.625 million. I personally think it's a overpayment by about $500,000 at least per year. I don't know if he ages well, particularly given the fact that he's a much more physical player than necessarily with Cope and Strome. Clearly an upgrade over both of them, much better between the dots, can play the penalty kill, can be a solid second-line center. I just don't love the term both in terms of dollars and years, and especially in terms of dollars, because now they clearly are at risk of having Capo Kakko getting offer sheeted. And B, also, I really thought that bringing back Tyler Mott was a wise move given how seamlessly he fit in there. And they do need him on the 4th line because I don't think Ryan Reeves is a guy you want to rely on to have in the lineup repeatedly. And that's another $1.75 million that I don't think he probably should have gotten last year. I don't mind the Trocheck move. I just think it's an overpayment both in terms of years and dollars, especially given the fact that the cap is not going to rise potentially much by next year. They are in a cap constraint situation right now as well, and they need to figure out how to manage some of the other assets. If they can move Patrick Nemeth and clear up a good $1.5 million, that clearly will help. But if not, they're really sitting in a major cap crunch right now.
A couple of things, Jan. What I would say is, even if it's a half a year overpayment, it's better than trading for Pierre-Luc Dubois, giving up assets, and then having to re-sign him after a couple of years. And then there was another part you brought up.
Capo Kakko getting.
Kakko. I don't think Gerard Gallant cares if he gets offer sheeted. That's the thing.
Well, again, here's the problem though. If you look at this year's draft for us, and I wrote about it, right? They brought in a lot of guys that are very much Gerard Gallant players. My problem is you add players with talent, not every player to fit directly into your current system, because the Gallant life cycle everywhere he's been has been 3 years. And if you bring on somebody on board that has a different system, basically hamstring yourself by the type of players you brought in, as opposed to bringing in guys who are the best player available, especially in those middle rounds.
I'm going to tell you, Bryce McConnell-Barker was the best player.
No, not Sikora and not Barker. The guys afterwards, in my opinion, all except for maybe Barbashev, who I like a lot. The rest of them, I have no major interest in. And you brought guys in specifically because they are straight line north-south guys who don't have the ability to create east-west at all.
Again, we're talking about guys that are 3 to 4 years away. Who knows
which is why you don't bring in guys specifically to fit his system.
Right. No,
when
I
his
get
system
that.
may change by then.
I get that.
I don't have a problem with Trocheck. I just think the dollar amount is very high. Look,
they said that in Florida once
too. What's that?
No, he said Gallant's not going anywhere, and I said, yeah, they said that in Florida once too. And
three-year lifespan.
I just think all those situations were all different for Gallant when he got moved. I think you're all in the unique situations. The Florida thing never made sense. I don't understand the Vegas thing at all. Look at what's happened to the Vegas organization since he left. I think he's a fantastic coach. He coached
100% great.
No doubt.
100% agree.
The guy I would like to bring back is Tyler Mott. And then on Yarrow Halak, look, the benefit is the Rangers don't have to face Halak anymore because he kills them. He was like Martin Brodeur ×2 every time he faced them.
I would like Tyler Mott back too. Mott would be good.
Gallant didn't know he was going anywhere until the Uber driver came in and came along.
Yeah, that's right. It was a cab, not an Uber.
Oh, really? Now we're getting there.
That's a J5 there, Jan.
That's a New York thing, man.
No, again, the big thing was they didn't even have a car waiting for him. He had to get his own cab.
Right. I think this was before Uber, wasn't it?
No, Uber was around
6 years ago.
The only thing is, Jan, Sammy Blake coming back could kill signing Tyler Mott.
Yeah, he could, but the problem is Blaze already penciled into that lineup right now. They don't have Brendan Othman, they don't have Will Kyles penciled in yet. Now, granted, if Othman doesn't make it, he's got to go back to the OHL. Will Coyle can go back to the AHL, but you'd like to have depth. This is where the $1.75 million on Ryan Reeves, I sure as heck would rather have Tyler Mott at $2 million a year than potentially Ryan Reeves at that figure, given what I think Mott can bring to the lineup.
I would do that too, but Gallant's not. He's going to keep Reeves. And the other thing is, I like Will Cully. He's not ready.
No, I'm not arguing with you. He probably needs to be down for a little bit. Othman, I think, is going to get a better shot given probably his production last year.
Yep.
The Kings have signed Brendan Lemieux to a 1-year deal.
Lemieux and Elias Anderson both locked up for 1-year deals right now.
Darren Drager is reporting the Oilers are continuing to work on a Connor Brown deal. If it happens, it's likely to see picks in returns, which means Ottawa's dumping his contract. It also means Edmonton will have to find other destinations for Warren Foegele and Jesse Puljujarvi. On Foegele,
the Flyers have talked to Montreal about Provorov, I was just told.
So here's my question: Does Frank Vatrano end up on the wing with Trevor Zegras right now?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen, Nick. If the Flyers are truly talking to Montreal, they're going to take Petrie back and give up Provorov, and that is a Chuck Fletcher move right there.
No, you're 100% right, Russ. I don't know what to say. You're right. I mean, that is 100%. There's two things that Fletcher's kind of known for, that kind of thing, and also like this JVR thing is like the perfect Fletcher problem. Like it's like Fletcher when Fletcher doesn't want to, listen, he's a great guy, and and he's whatever. But I'm just saying. But there's certain things that do get to me about him, and there's one thing is he is notoriously slow on decision making, and this whether or not to trade this first round pick with JVR to open up the space is a perfect example of that. And he in general, he will eventually give it up. And people kind of have the feeling, I talked to somebody else about this, if you wait out Fletcher, you'll get what you want. You got to wait him out. Like you can wait him out.
I just don't think he knows what he's doing. Like the whole Hayes thing, the trading for him, that he was in a bind, he had to get him signed. I just think he's done a lot of things. The choice of coaches that he's made in the past.
Yeah. The last coaching choice was really kind of crazy. And and the Lindblom thing is a real disaster if they don't get Gaudreau. It's a real problem. It is even if they do get him.
Yeah.
But if they don't get him, it's a real problem. And if they don't get him, they're probably going to have to pivot towards Kadri. And that's like a situation where I don't think they're going to get Kadri. I think he's going to go someplace else.
I think Kadri has no reason to want to go to Philly.
No. Yeah,
I think the odds are starting to swing toward the possibility of Kadri going back to Colorado. If they
The other thing too is the Tortorella factor. Like if you're a free agent, you can go any place. Do you want to choose to go to Tortorella?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So Tom, talk about this for a minute because
especially Kadri. Like why would Kadri?
Like I mentioned, there's probably one or two players on the Flyers that when they knew Torts got signed, regardless of what Torts said in his press conference, that they're starting to think, I don't know if I want to be here anymore.
Yeah. Like you hear a lot of players like him. So when Herb Brooks coached us here in the New York Rangers, he did so much good stuff for me on a personal level and on a hockey level, teaching me things about myself, the game, the whole bit. But I hated him sometimes. Yeah. It's just like some of the stuff that he did and said was just not called for. But in the end, he was trying to get the best of it. Tortorella, I think, takes that to a whole different level.
He does. He does. And, and people, but again, like absolute people who the players are some players who love him to death. Like they think he's
attracting free agents is a whole different thing.
Yes, exactly. That coach. Especially if you're a high-end offensive player to go play with Tortorella.
Right. That's a good point. Like, and
look at Gaudreau.
Even why it's even kind of crazier that Gaudreau still wants to come to Philly. But,
that's the thing.
He's the perfect kind of guy you would think would be a problem there. That would be an issue.
Absolutely. He is not a Tortorella kind of guy. And Tortorella is going to want to block his shots and all this. That's not Johnny Gaudreau.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. I mean, and it is amazing how, I like the Gaudreau. I like the concept of the Flyers trying to bring back some of their umph.
Yeah.
I do like that, but I think that, that they're bringing back some attitude in Philly is important. Yeah. Which Gaudreau
gives you. Yeah. Now you think about it more. Gaudreau signs there for 7 years. He's not going to get 115 points or whatever he got this season. That would
no way. Players to play with.
Right. So it's going to look like it's a bad move to sign him. I mean, I think what's happened is, and just purely speculating, Gaudreau has stepped back and said, okay, now I've got all my options. It's the Islanders, it's the Devils, it's the Flyers. Now I got to look at all these things. Do I want to go play for John Tortorella? Do I want to go play for that team? And then Lou Lamoriello is on the phone talking to him, trying to convince him. And he's now thinking to himself, okay, what am I doing here? Right.
Right. That's a really good point. And he's going to sit back and, the fact that, again, like if it's down to the Islanders and Devils, it'll be done within the hour. He'll make the decision, within the hour. If he's waiting on the Flyers to make moves, it'll stall. And that's right. That's why I think we're going to learn more.
It could be that maybe the family, maybe they're sitting back and saying, okay, all this time they were thinking Philadelphia. Now maybe we're thinking, maybe it shouldn't be Philadelphia. And there really is no rush with him. I know that especially the Islanders, both teams want him to make a decision.
Yeah, right.
But he doesn't have to rush. Right.
No, I think the Devils are a little bit afraid that they're being used in this situation sometimes because that Devils dude, that does happen to the Devils a lot. Like,
sure.
You know what? Lou's talking to Johnny about old time college hockey, Providence against Boston College. He's talking. That's what he's talking to him about.
Yeah, totally. Gaudreau's family definitely
on his good side.
Yeah. No, and
bean pot. Let's talk about the bean pot, Johnny. Remember that?
Sure. And you're going to get your money one way or the other. Do you want a better chance to win here, or do you think you get a better chance to win in Philly or New Jersey? Right.
It's an 8-year deal, and if you look at the Islanders, they're getting old. That's the one thing you can say. A 7-year deal. The Devils are going to be the better choice by the end of that. By the end of that, we would think 3 years down the line, the Devils pass the Islanders, right?
And if you go in and you play a game in New Jersey, so he's with the Calgary Flames. If the Calgary Flames go into New Jersey, you're getting maybe 5,000 people in that building every night. So that's what he sees from New Jersey.
Right.
Go to the Islander games.
That's true. That's a good point.
And I'll also bring up, if Gaudreau is there signing this massive contract, he will play 1 year with Matt Barzal, and Barzal will be gone.
Why do you think Barzal will be gone?
Oh, yeah.
Because they can't pay him, Mac.
Simple money.
But they got to move up. You don't think Luke can find a way to get it done?
I think he can find a way without moving Barzal.
Well, if he can find a way to jettison bad contracts like Josh Bailey and Kyle Palmieri, sure.
Right.
But good luck. He's got a lot of $5 million guys. It's a problem.
That's all right.
He's got 7 forwards. This is a team that has problems scoring goals. He's got 7 forwards making $5 million or more. The structure on that team is ridiculous.
I know, but it's Lou Lamoriello. We've always said that. We always found a way to get it done, right?
But Lou's not winning the cup every year either, Tom.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Barzal is an RFA with arb rights next summer. and then he's 1 year away from being unrestricted free agent. So, and I think that contract was backloaded. I'm looking right now. Oh yeah. So the qualifying offer on Barzal's contract next summer is $11 million.
Ooh, that's a qualifying offer. Wow.
Yeah, it's a $10 million salary.
And he'll be gone. They won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
True. That's really true. So I think I'm talking to Mike offline about how long we're going to go with the show here. I think we're going to stay. My goal, I think we were probably looking at it's 1:30 now.
2:30?
2:30, or until like Gaudreau, until something happens with Gaudreau, I think we stick it out for a little bit.
I could go down to the rink where his dad works. It'd take me 20 minutes.
All right.
And I could go inside the rink, hook up. I could ask him. And
go for it. We're just take your phone with you. That would be fantastic. Let's do it.
Who's his agent?
I don't know.
Gaudreau's? I can find out.
No, he just made a big statement last night. What's his name? Oh gosh, what's his name?
Not Brisson, is it?
No, it's not.
It's Bezos.
No, he made the statement last night. Jeez, what the heck?
Hold on. I got it. 1 second.
The agent was the one who made the statement.
Louis Gross?
Yes.
Louis Gross, there you go.
I can call Louis right now.
All right, get him on the phone. What the heck's going on? Just what's going on?
I'm sure he's gonna come on live.
No, I'll text him. I'll send him a text to see.
Send him a text. What's going on, man? I need it. My job at Hockey Buzz depends on it. I need to know where he's going.
Heck, I made a joke to Eric Dahashik. I said, should I be just staking out the rink that guy Gaudreau works at? He goes, yeah, you probably could break the story before anybody else.
Probably could. I mean, the Gaudreaus have not been quiet about their desire to come back to Philly.
No.
They've been very, 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 very.
And there's Dunkin' Donuts there too, so I could, it'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating to me. Like, this does remind me of a lot of the John Tavares thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
How it's going to continue on, and I do. Like, everyone's saying, some people that I don't really trust are saying that the Flyers are pivoting away.
I would say this. It will turn out similarly, but that fan base, Calgary will not turn on Gaudreau.
Calgary will not?
They will not turn on Gaudreau the way the Islanders fans turned on Tavares.
Yeah.
Because the majority of the Islanders fans are a bunch of backstabbing pricks. I mean, really, I'm sorry. It's like
you heard it here, folks.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sorry.
Yes, come on. I mean, Mike, what the hell?
No, I'm deadly serious, Zach.
They are not the majority of Islanders. They just can't say the majority of Islanders.
I said the majority.
That's what I'm saying. You can't say the majority of. You can say there are fans in every city.
I'm sure there are five or six of them that are pretty nice people, but no, I mean, I'm sorry. This is
a high school with.
This is a fan base that is 16,000 of them at Nassau Coliseum. Every time he was mentioned, every time the camera went on him, every time he touched the puck, it was like they were ready to throw like fruit at him, like it was like William Wallace at Braveheart. I mean,
they are passionate fans. These are crazy. But the Islanders fans are among
the people responsible for that. Was Garth Snow and the ownership for having a crappy organization for all that time. And Lou Lamoriello only came in, a month before Tavares left? Yeah,
but it was more Tavares wanted to be back.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really what it was. And it was like completely
8 years. They gave him 8 years.
I mean, I'm telling you, I'm Mike's opinions do not reflect the opinions of Hockey Buzz or Eklund or anyone else with this.
Or me.
Or True Grit Life.
Or anybody, or Trigger Life anyway, because Islanders fans are honestly among some of the best fans we have. Like on this website, I'll tell you right now that the Islanders fans are just the passion that they have is incredible. They are absolutely knowledgeable.
Russ, I'm sure in about 2 minutes I'll get a text or a direct message from our friend NL King saying, "Mike, you're losing your mind." It's like whatever, I don't care.
Listen, if I posted this on my Facebook page, half of my high school friends would just drop me.
Yeah, can we invite Petri in first, or somebody we need to invite?
Yeah, and Petri, I don't think he's available. I'll message him.
You should see he's our Islanders guy. Bring him in. Yeah, that's a ridiculous statement, Mike.
Oh, stop! It's
absolutely. They are not. They are this. No, this is a great fan base. Honestly, very true.
They're lovely people, Mike.
Yes,
great fan base. I mean, I've been in that. I'll tell you, like that Nassau Coliseum in its time. When that place was hopping. I mean, Tommy obviously played there as an enemy many a times. that was a real great hockey building.
Unbelievable. Yeah, their loyalty to their hockey team is incredible. Yeah,
it's insane. I mean, they are not. And the thing about them is, if the Islanders ever left, they wouldn't become Rangers fans.
No. Not happening.
They would just not be hockey. I don't know what they would do. They're Islanders fans first and foremost.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what they do, but they would definitely not become Ranger fans. Would not happen. Yeah.
But the NHL would get another team in there quickly because there's just such a good fan base there that they'd have to have, and
and even to the old guys, like I got to be friendly with Clark Gillies before we lost him, and the way they treated him, Bob Nystrom, Clark Gillies, John Tonelli, all those old guys are on that team. Mike Bossy, we just lost as well. So
Kemper is official in Washington, by the way.
Kemper's
I forget the name of it right this second, but the bar that was across from Nassau Coliseum, the other side of the turnpike.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't go to a game, we all ended up there, and players were in there all the time. You probably were in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that place was crazy. It was really, there was like no character to it whatsoever. But it was cool, it was a place.
It was a seat character. It was like the Rusty something. I forget.
But it was in like a hotel, wasn't it? Like
no. That's the Marriott. That's what's
I always went to that Marriott place across.
Yeah, this is across the street. You wouldn't have been there then. This would have been like when I first started to drink in like 81, something like that.
Darcy Kemper, 5 years, $5.25 million AAV.
There you go. Once again, proving that cup contending teams will pay $5 million for a goalie.
That's a proven fact. There's just one that won't.
But are the Capitals a cup contending team?
Yeah, they are.
Without Nicholas Backstrom, I don't know if they are.
Yeah, I mean, all right, that's fair. I mean, that's a tough one.
Yeah, but they have to be when Ovechkin's on the team, right? They have to have the
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I'm a
they've
little
got to
surprised
operate
how
like
long
they
this took to announce. Like, I think the Capitals just wanted. I think the Capitals were just playing with people here. I think this took such a long time.
I mean, it's funny. Kemper won a cup. We all have things to say about him, but he still won a cup. So, honestly, how much better is Braden Holtby than Darcy Kemper? It's probably marginal. Just going back a couple of years, so he has a chance.
Yeah,
I think he's a lot better, but that's my opinion.
5 years. What are the other options for Washington out there?
I mean, that at this point, that was it. I mean, there's nobody else out there.
Really. Marketing says it's the Rusty Scupper. That doesn't seem like the name, Tom, but it's close. It was a name.
It was something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And it might have been a change. There's other Rusty Scuppers, so it might have been a change.
So I don't think it was that.
Wasn't that like a fast food place, the Rusty Scupper? Like a fast food
No, it was
fish
like
place?
a restaurant kind of thing.
Yeah, low end seafood, I call it.
Right.
It was like the Sizzler for fish.
Yeah.
It made Red Lobster look like a 5-star restaurant.
Sizzlers for fish. There you go. That's probably what it was.
Here's some big news too. I didn't tell you guys. I've learned how to make myself sushi now.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're rolling sushi and everything?
Yep. Got the bamboo mat and a whole bit.
Nice.
Rice. There's an H Mart. H Mart is a great place for Asian food. All the fresh salmon and tuna and all that. Oh man.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm a big sushi. I love sushi. That's really.
It's really not that big a deal.
If I
hard to make.
If I could get past the
big seaweed wraps and you roll in those.
Yeah.
If I could get past the raw fish part, I would like sushi.
I eat cooked sushi. I'll eat it if it's cooked.
But you know what though? If you get really high end fresh fish, it just melts in your mouth. It's like butter.
Yeah.
Butter.
You ever watch the show Wicked Tuna?
Yes.
That's a blast. That show. It's one of my shows. If you want to take a nap and just hang out for a while, put on Wicked Tuna and you can get lost in 6 episodes of nothing that's happening, but completely ridiculous. It's about tuna fishermen off the coast of
please.
There's no news on the Stromes. The chat room's asking nothing. I hear nothing.
I know nothing. I see nothing.
The Penguins have signed Tukarski. Do you see that?
What's that, Russ?
And I was saying Ryan Strom's going to have a hard time getting a long-term deal. I don't think he will.
I agree. Yeah, it could go one of those ones that goes into the summer before he gets signed someplace. Yeah. He's a good player too. It's almost like you want him to be just a little bit better. And he's not really that. He's probably more of a third line guy.
He overplayed his hand, Russ.
I think that may be the case.
Yeah. I just don't think there's just no room for him, right? Because he's not that number. He's not the number 2 guy. And
he had an injury, but he also came up a little short in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think the team probably looked at it and said, I think we've gone as far as we can go with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like you need somebody a little bigger. Like Trocheck is it, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, I mean, do you think Dylanstrom gets signed quicker?
I think he's going to get a 1-year deal someplace, and I don't think anybody wants to make a commitment to him long term. Yeah.
Well, okay. All right. So the might be a trade in the works. I'm looking into right here. Sorry.
Look at the doggy up in the bed there. What do you got? Little.
I know. I'm trying to get this guy. He's hilarious. She's hilarious. I mean, she keeps barking at me. I'm trying to. Every time I go to grab her, she runs away from me. But she's hilarious. Yeah.
What kind of dog is it?
She's a Shih Tzu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's awesome. And then the corgi's over there. So we got two.
That's right.
Corgi's right. The corgi's right over there. Can you see? She's sitting right there.
Yeah.
That's the corgi. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah.
So we have a big dilemma here. I live in a condominium complex, and probably half the people have dogs, and especially during the summer, everybody wants to be outside, and the dogs start barking.
Yeah.
So
that's a problem.
Maybe after a couple of margaritas, I start barking myself at the back.
I mean, I have 2 dogs. I have my own yard, but I have neighbors. I don't just let them go out there and bark incessantly. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's just
You're right.
Yeah, it's kind of like, especially when I love dogs too. Growing up on the farm a little bit, but I always had dogs. But it's just more. It's not the dogs. It's more the people letting the dogs.
People, right?
Yeah.
There's a report 100%. Here from I think it's Shayna Goldman from The Athletic that the Rangers have figured out a way to trade Patrick Nemeth to Arizona, but there's no official word as of yet.
So they get rid of it. Do you think they'll have to eat some of that contract, or they don't want?
No, that's the whole point of
this is so Arizona probably could swallow the whole cap hit.
Right.
And they're doing that. Do you think this is part of the Patrick Kane thing, perhaps?
No, but I think this could be like giving him Kravtsov or something like that. It could be.
Or Kako, maybe.
Yeah. I don't think Kako, but it could be.
Yeah,
Kravtsov.
not yet with Kako. I wouldn't.
Right.
They the Rangers are going to want to make moves down the line. So if they can dispatch Nemeth's contract on Arizona, that gives them some flexibility.
Right.
Didn't
they say when they signed Kravtsov, people were asking them, is this a sign so you can trade him? And I thought they came out and said, no, they're not planning on it. And maybe that was at the time they weren't, but I just wanted to give the player some kind of he'd probably rather go to Arizona than stay here with the Rangers, because I don't think he'd play more there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, lots of good golfing in Arizona.
What are your thoughts on the Russian that the Rangers are apparently keeping, Tom? What's his name?
Kravtsov.
Kravtsov, right. Kravtsov. We're talking about Kravtsov. That's what I thought. Okay, so
you know what? We really didn't get much of a chance to look at him and watch him play. For me, I mean, maybe Russ has seen more of him, but I don't really know much about him. Russ,
he's a good player. The problem here is he could play at the NHL level. He probably could be a 20, 25 goal scorer. He might be a center, probably not. The issue is something happened between him and Chris Drury, and that is going to prevent him from probably playing, because he was done with the KHL season, and Chris Drury was like, we got you next year. Don't worry. You come over next. It's like they couldn't have used him in the fold as a black ace in the playoffs. Like something's going on here with that story that was broken. I don't know if it was Larry or who broke it at the time, but he said something that upset teammates and whatever. He's a young, immature kid. Yeah. I get it.
So he signed a 1-year contract, right?
Yeah. And that's probably the trade-off.
Yeah. And I think they did say, I thought they said publicly that it wasn't to trade him. But
of course they said that publicly.
Yeah. Right. Because I'm sure they probably said to him, I said, listen, you're not going to play here again. We'll sign you to a contract. We'll get you traded.
Not $900,000 1-year deal for Bukestad in Arizona. So, boy, he's sort of taking a fall, Russ.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Well, being big isn't good enough now.
Yeah, it's big and fast. You need to be fast too. Or
isn't it funny? You see somebody signing for $900,000 right now, and that's like a terrible contract.
I know.
You think back when we played, somebody signed for $900,000. Like, wow, that's a lot of money.
I'm working on. Okay, I'm putting the camera back on. Sorry. The JT Miller stuff's heating up again.
Are they up against the cap that bad in Vancouver?
They're over the cap right now.
Oh, they are. Okay.
They're right now. They're in the they have to make a move type position now.
And then that means they can keep Besser if they trade Miller.
Yes. Yeah, they have to either move Besser, Miller, or Horvat. Basically.
Oh man,
they don't want to move Horvat. Apparently, Besser. The Devils have a huge amount of interest in Besser. I've been told.
He's a good player.
They didn't sign Besser to trade him away, I don't think.
I don't think so, but if it depends what they get. What Boudreau, Bruce Boudreau really likes JT Miller. Like I was told,
the guy that they probably would love to trade is Tyler Myers, but I don't think you're going to find anybody to take him. That's 6
I liked him before. Is he falling off that much? I liked him before.
Yeah,
too slow.
He relies on his reach a lot now, Tom. He used to be fast and sort of rangy, but when he got traded from Buffalo to Winnipeg and now Winnipeg to Vancouver, he's not the same defenseman who won the Calder Trophy a few years ago.
Yeah, right. He won the Calder. That's right. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a scenario where if the Islanders or Devils don't get Gaudreau, that the Islanders revisit the Miller trade, which they almost had on the draft day, and
unless they go after Kadri too. See, this is the thing. Kadri has almost been put in the position where he's the response to some teams if they don't get Gaudreau. I mean, will Philadelphia go in on Kadri if Gaudreau goes someplace else?
But Kadri's not going to go with Tortorella there. I just can't see him going to Philadelphia.
Probably.
Or with Lou Lamoriello. I don't know if.
Well, he played for Lou Lamoriello in Toronto, Lou Lamoriello signed him to a 6-year contract. Maybe he won't do that because he screwed him because that was a $4.5 million cap hit, and Kadri probably believes he's been underpaid the last 6 years.
Yeah, for sure. All right, it's definitely slowing down, kids. I'm not sure if we.
Yeah, the big womp for the Flyers.
Yeah, right now nothing.
You're right, really Russ. Crazy. That's going to look terrible for they came out and said that they were interested in Gaudreau.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, why do you do that?
No, I mean, they I guess publicly didn't say it.
I don't think publicly, but the whole world knew.
Yeah. It was pretty a
public statement, but
pretty evident.
Like if you're getting the same money different places, like Philly's a mess right now in my mind. Like your agent is going to be saying to you, okay, yes, here's the contract, but now here's what you're going to be having to face every day going to the rink, right?
Yeah, right. So right.
In Philadelphia, I just think, oh man.
Look, all they said, Tom, was there's going to be this aggressive retool, and they basically let it be known that they were going to sort of be players in this free agent period. That's all you need to know.
Okay, here's a man after my own heart, Andrew Berkshire, who I believe works for Sportsnet, and Darcy Kemper. Getting just a hair more than Jack Campbell is wild. Jack Campbell was one of the worst goalies in the league from December on. That's a little strong. I don't think one of the worst, but he was below average. Kemper has been one of the best in the league for 4 years.
This guy's clueless.
No, he's not. He's not. Totally Heck, clueless. When you have an .899 save percentage after December 1st, you're a below average goaltender.
But he said Kemper's been one of the best goaltenders.
Yeah, I don't.
He's in the last 4 years.
That's a little.
That's where stats lie.
Yeah,
that's absurd.
Kemper is a guy that the analytics guys love.
Oh, is that right? Really?
Yeah,
the numbers are that way. Wow.
I don't know.
I guess they like the expected saves. I'm kidding.
Yes, exactly.
Time will tell, but I think Campbell will lead the Oilers further than.
I think Campbell.
That's true.
I think Campbell will leave the Oilers to a first-round elimination, but we'll see.
No, I think they're going to make it to the finals next year.
They'll go first.
I just think with Draisaitl and McDavid, the way they were after they got beat out, like you tell they had matured. They realized they don't have forever to win a cup. They were not happy with getting beat out. A lot of people would be happy going to the semifinals.
Well, I don't see anybody right now. I mean, obviously, things can change, but Colorado has been able to keep. They kept Manson, they kept Nikushkin. Maybe they keep Kadri. If they do that, okay. So what? They Kemper for Georgiev. Do we think that? Russ? Do you think? Yeah, I think Georgiev's a pretty good goalie. I don't know.
He'll be the number one. Yeah, he'll be number one there in Colorado.
The thing I could always tell you about Georgiev, he was not a great backup, but if he knew the starter was hurt and he was the guy for 8-10 games, he'd play great.
Yeah, he's a number in his mind. He's a number one goaltender. He's not a backup. And those guys, this, they have different mentalities. Those guys.
Yeah,
some guys settles in to be a backup.
The Oilers are bringing in Calvin Pickard as the third goalie behind Campbell and Stuart Skinner.
Yeah.
Skinner's better than Pickard at this point.
Well, Skinner's going to be their backup.
Yeah.
Tokarski signed somewhere too. Like how many places can that guy play?
Well, he'll play in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and if they have an injury, he can come up. I mean,
yeah, there's another guy like
that NHL. Like he can plug in, and
I can still call you for pickup hockey once in a while. So
I'm hoping. I'm ready to go. I'm ready at any point. I got my pads in the car. I'm ready to go. my goalie pads are just still full of deer hair. That's how old they are. But yeah, I'm all set. I'm ready to go. My goalie pads
in your car.
Yeah, my car stinks. You can't keep your hockey equipment in your car. It's not a good idea.
Don't do that. No.
It's not a good idea. I've learned that a couple times in my life. I guess we're gonna take a break, guys. I think we're pretty good. I think it's slowed down to the point where we can call it for now. If things start picking up again, maybe we'll jump back on it, or something. We could jump back on.
We can do something tonight, quick or something.
Yeah, I want to make a lot of calls. And
Kevin Allen thinks he's coming on at 2:15.
Who is?
Somebody's got to tell him.
A guy named Kevin Allen.
Oh, Kevin's gonna be like 2:15. What time is it now? We should talk. We could wait for Kevin to come in.
Let's go to at least 2:30.
Let's go that. Okay.
Go to 2:30 and then we'll kill it.
I may have to jump off and make some calls in the next couple minutes.
Yeah, if you have to, I mean, we can. Tom and Russ and I can talk about Ron Duguay and Ron Kushner and
Sarah Palin and Ron Duguay.
Oh, I'm not talking about that.
Is that still an item thing?
Oh yeah, we had the over under in like a month. That was like
Ron's
6 months
posting stuff still.
You know my story about Sarah Palin. I have a Sarah Palin story.
And she's running for Congress in Alaska too.
That's right. Too. We call him Deputy Duguay. She's going to be announcing him. He's the deputy. We never saw him post anything about being outside ever.
Or to be around anytime. Thank you.
He now posts like ice fishing and all this kind of stuff. Oh God. We had a thing probably 3 months ago in the city, and he was at it, and he had a bunch of pictures of Sarah Palin. And he's like the proud father. She's so wonderful.
Now, okay, the Vidal Sassoon commercial. It was Duguay and Espo.
Oh, he was 4 of them, right? Yeah.
Espo, Greshner, and
I don't think Gresh was in that one. It was Dave Maloney and Anderson.
And there was somebody else that was supposed to be in it and got
Murdoch, maybe.
Murdoch, I think, was in it.
Yeah. So there's different ones, right? There's 2 different versions. One was Espo, Duguay, Dave Maloney, and Anders Hedberg.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah, that's right.
Dave Maloney's a fantastic guy too. Like,
I met him.
Talk about somebody who's changed his looks. Like,
Tom, I would hesitate to bring up the name Scotty Bowman to Dave Maloney because remember Dave was traded to Buffalo and then Scotty didn't play him.
Yep. And Dave tells a story about one game, something had gone wrong, and he turned around, and Scotty Bowman was down on all fours behind the bench, and all the spit and all that kind of stuff, like banging his feet and his hands on the ground like he's having a temper tantrum. Tells the story. It's the funniest thing. And it's another, and Clark Gillies ended up getting traded to Buffalo to end his career as well, and Ted Sater was coaching there.
Oh, yeah.
And we had Clark on one of our shows, and he told a story about how Lyndon Byers was playing Buffalo, and Byers was trying to prove how tough he was and everything. And Clark was at the end of his career, and it was the game in the end of the game, and the game was out of hand, whatever. So Teddy throws Clark on the ice. Ted Sater throws Clark Gillies on the ice when Lyndon Byers is on the ice, and Byers is thinking, okay, you sent him over there to fight me. And Clark didn't want to fight him. He'd fought all his fights. He fought Terry O'Reilly 100 times. For God's sake. And so Byers went over and fought him. And after the game, Teddy Sater comes walking by in the locker room, and he goes to pat Clark Gillies on the back, like, good job there, big fella. Apparently, Clark stood up, grabbed him by the throat, and threw him across the room.
Well, actually, just so you know, for the commercial, it was Espo, Hedberg, Duguay, Maloney. I think Greshner was maybe involved. There was somebody who was involved, and this isn't like my last book that didn't make the cut.
It wasn't. It wasn't Carol Alt. But let me just say this, because Sater was when he was in Buffalo, they made the playoffs and they played the Bruins in the first round. And in one of the playoff games, there was a immense brawl and like a series of fights where Jay Miller fought Kevin McGuire. Clark Gillies fought Willie Plett.
Oh, that's a good one.
But the best one of them all was Cam Neely versus Lindy Ruff.
Oh.
It was a 3-punch fight. Oh. Lindy connected to Cam Neely's jaw twice. Cam Neely hit Lindy on the temple, on his forehead, and knocked him out.
Oh, it's all right.
Three-punch fight. It was, and McGuire again fought Bruce Shoebottom. I mean, I have these fights on tape. This thing was a beautiful thing. It was fantastic.
So in the chat room, you're asking for my Sarah Palin story, so I have to tell it real quick. So, Sarah Palin, Ed Snyder, when the Sarah Palin was the vice, just had been named the vice presidential candidate.
Yes.
She came to Philly
to drop
the preseason Flyers game.
Yep. I have a picture of that.
Yep, and she was there. So the Flyers, for whatever reason, thought I would be a good person to escort her around the building. So they came to me and they said, "Okay," they said, "Will you mind?" Like, so I spent a lot of time with Sarah Palin that day, and I'm like, "Sure, I'll walk around." So the weirdest thing about like going up to her, getting introduced to her, the first thing she says to me is, "Hello, you smell really good."
Sarah Palin. So hold on, Sarah Palin told you
Sarah Palin told me I smelled really good. I'm like, "Hey, thanks." I said, "This is going to be a tough crowd." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." I said, "This is definitely the Philadelphia is not exactly a Republican-leaning city.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
This is about as Democratic a city as you can possibly find in America. I mean, I think it's like 90% of Philadelphians vote Democratic all the time." And she got booed pretty harshly when she went on to the arena.
Shocking.
But it was but I never forget being told that I smelled nice by Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin, nice. She's got that sexy library thing going on, librarian thing going on.
Remember she definitely has that that girl from 30 Rock. What's her name? Liz. Yeah.
My troll job of the day, Kevin McGran is just taking a picture at the Leafs practice facility outside of Toronto, and Connor McDavid is skating at the practice facility. And my line is, will this be a regular occurrence in a couple years?
Yeah, there you go.
I do believe so. Not really.
Connor McDavid, that's pretty cool that he would just goes and skates, like
he probably rents the ice.
Get it out, yeah.
He's making
sure, but like it's like McDavid, like it's just that's awesome. I think it just shows like
I can't even rent out your
impressed by him this playoffs, just like his passion that showed up. Right. Just like I have not seen anybody do that.
Interesting. Okay. Pierre LeBrun reporting, proving why nothing is done until it's done on this day. And I say earlier, it wasn't done yet. Hearing that another team has come in late on talks with Mason Marchman's camp, and Carolina is no longer assured of getting him. Stay tuned. Now, this is the tragedy. I mean, it was absolutely tragic. The news of Brian Marchman passing away at the draft in Montreal.
Yeah. Was it actually at the draft?
He was in the hotel.
Yeah, he was in the hotel and passed away.
Yeah, I spoke to somebody about it.
Yeah, I'm really, really sad. And the thing is, I mean, the first thing I thought of is, how's this going to affect his son? Because obviously he's, it's a complete tragedy. And he's a free agent. He's got to make decisions on where he's going to go. And I mean, that's probably the last thing he wants to think about when his dad has passed away. So.
Yeah,
and please, you don't have to say it if you don't want to say it. Do we know what happened to him?
Heart attack.
Yeah,
heart attack.
Yeah,
at 52 or 53 years old.
Yeah. So Marchman to Dallas.
That's the rumor.
I was just told that that's done.
That's done. Okay.
4 years, $4 million a year, $4.5 million a year.
Yep, I think that was the same deal that he was going to sign with. But okay, here you go. Carolina versus Dallas. What's different? State taxes. Dallas is a non-tax state, and Texas is a non-tax state.
Very true.
Tom, that's important for all these players. Like for Nashville, Dallas, and the two Florida teams. That state tax means hundreds of thousands of extra dollars.
Well, especially if you think of the team's advantage from the tax situation or the cap situation too, right? Getting those guys signed. It's kind of interesting that has not come up in the CBA negotiations where like the cap is actually higher in those four places because they don't have to pay tax. Yeah, well, it's from the player standpoint, right? They're going to sign for less dollars to stay in those. So it actually gives those teams more cap space because the players will take less money. In theory, they'll take less money.
In theory, right. Like hearing the Huberdeau signing could be pretty soon.
Oskar Lindblom expected to sign with the San Jose Sharks.
All right, nice.
That's an organization that'll really play to his strengths. It'll be great for him to be there. I know a few people in that organization. I'm really happy for him.
That is good.
Yeah.
Great job.
It's a great place to play.
Charlie Lindgren signs with the Capitals.
Right.
I would think that he could be the backup now that they've traded Vanacek. They cut Samsonov. Kemper is this is the thing. Kemper is a good goaltender, but Kemper has had an history of injury problems. So that you need it. Now, Russ, is there anybody else in the Capitals organization that would potentially be a backup other than, say, Charlie Lindgren? I don't know.
Good question.
I'm looking right now to see what their depth is. Okay, you've got Zach Fucali, no. Clay Stevenson, no. Charlie Lindgren, they just re-signed. Maybe they're still out there. I mean, Charlie Lindgren is probably a minor league, probably Hershey, so they're probably still looking for a number. Guys like
Matthew said, they'll just sign Phoenix Copley for the 1,000th time.
Right. Yeah. So let's see here.
Wow.
Yeah, we're waiting for this big move. The Gaudreau thing, and 3 years at $1.1 million for Charlie Lindgren. See that you don't pay that to a minor leaguer. That's backup numbers.
Right.
But he's going to get some NHL time. That's why.
Right.
What do you guys think Huberdeau is going to get at an extension? Because Huberdeau he's probably going to be signed today.
I think he'll get the Philip Forsberg amount, $8.5 million.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I mean, tax-free Florida definitely benefits, right? That's for sure. He likes it there.
As far as Forsberg didn't get a little bit more than that.
Me too.
Yeah. Again, Tennessee is a non-tax state, so that's a factor. And you know what the thing is, Tom? He's making more than Johansson. He's not making. I think
not making more than Yossi. Yossi's hired him, right?
Yossi's the highest, but I believe both Duchesne. Yeah, Duchesne's making 8. Johansson's making 8, so he's the highest paid forward.
Sure.
If he wasn't going to be the highest paid player, at least he was going to be the highest paid forward.
Right. Just surprised it went that long too. I guess the guy really wanted to stay there, and it was just.
Yeah, I think they were holding out to see if they could get the best deal possible. I think they knew that he didn't want to go anywhere. Now, just to address this while we're waiting for the next thing, Toronto should sign Bunting to an extension. If not, they will likely lose him like they lost Hyman. Okay, Alex Kerfoot is a UFA at the end of the year. Bunting is a UFA at the end of the year. I have a feeling what the Leafs are going to do is they're going to pay Bunting with Kerfoot's money. I think they want to keep Bunting because he is a really good fit with.
He does well this year. You have to make sure of that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Do I think
he's not proven yet, Mike?
No, he's not proven. But do I think he's going to score 60 points a year again? No, but I would pay him $3.5 million a year on a.
Yeah, as long as I start seeing what I saw last year for the first month or so of the season, sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But we're not going to talk about the fact that the Toronto Blue Jays fired their manager. We don't care about that.
William Nylander rumors are out there still. That's always fun. It's always fun to get in there, get that in. I think, again, this is another guy that New Jersey has interest in too. And I think that, we're looking at a lot of, there's definitely a ton of, domino type things going on here.
I'll say this. The only way I can see a Nylander move is if they're in on somebody else via trade or via free agency that replaces him, because you're then thinning out a little bit. You've lost Mikheyev. Last year you lost Hyman. I don't know if they have as much. Yeah, as much. They have to have a replacement there that provides a different sort of aspect, because he's a highly skilled player. He plays. He's not an injury prone guy.
Yeah.
It's just I don't like the mix with Nylander because there's too much skill and not enough, sandpaper and everything else.
Apparently TSN has mentioned Kerfoot and Nylander as a trade, maybe in the middle of the year, to get Patrick Kane.
Patrick Kane is represented by the same agent as Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Same agency. So I thought of that possibility. But yeah, to carve out space for $5.25 million on Kane in the middle of the year will be tough for
and that's really not what they need. Don't they have enough?
Yeah, that's more of what more of the same. But I think they're looking at he's won 3 cups and he's Patrick.
I'm going to mention a low-level signing. The Flyers signed Cooper Marody for 2 years. He originally was drafted by them. Every year, I'm always asked for draft sleepers. 1 year, he was my draft sleeper. And he only played 1 game with Edmonton so far. 7 games. But like last year, at 55 points in 52 games, Lehigh needs a lot of these players. And the Flyers do need guys that they can call up once in a while to fill in. He's a high-skill guy. So I'm happy that they got him. I don't think he'll have much of an NHL role. But the idea is it's good that they went back to him. And they gave him a 2-year deal. So,
yeah, that's good for him. That's really good for him. I like to hear that. I like that stuff.
You ever heard of a player that got traded or drafted twice by the same team?
Oh, that's interesting. Drafted twice by the same team.
Tom Laidlaw represented him too. So.
You did?
Yes, he's now the head coach in the National Hockey League.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
Lane Lambert?
Oh. No.
Brad Larson.
Brad Larson. Wow.
He was.
So what happened there? How did he end up getting drafted?
He was drafted. The 2-year window ended. We were trying to get him signed to a contract. They didn't want to pay him like I thought he should get paid.
Right.
So I said to the kid, listen, here's your options. They're not giving you what I think that you're worth. So you can go back in the draft again. And then they redrafted him. It was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, because what do you end up doing then? You're just negotiating with them again, right?
Yeah. So you're stuck with the same organization, and now you've got no leverage hardly whatsoever. So
in a roundabout way, this is funny. Frederick Anderson, I believe, was a 7th-round draft pick of the Carolina Hurricanes. He didn't sign with them. He gets drafted in the 3rd round by Anaheim, plays with the Ducks, goes free agency, gets traded to the Leafs, and then 9 years after he gets drafted by Carolina, ends up with Carolina.
Yeah, it's funny. I can't remember who the assistant GM was there in Colorado. It was when Pierre Lacroix, I think, was running the team, and him and I got to be pretty good friends. The assistant GM, even though we couldn't agree on this contract, and he knew that really put me in a bind. And they didn't, they didn't do it just to put screws to me. But he came up to me in the arena at the draft. Said, sorry, Tom, I just we like the player. We just don't like him the same level that you like him.
They really like him. I mean, that's oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's funny.
Sounds like Eric Branson is going to Columbus.
I thought there was a chance that he might stay in Calgary. But okay, here you go. Let's just talk about this for a second. Okay, now Branson's leaving for Columbus.
Yeah.
Gaudreau is leaving for parts unknown. Your Tkachuk is 1 year away from unrestricted free agency. He's got the ARB, and if they just go to ARB and they offer him the qualifying offer, he probably takes it because I think it's like $9.9 million. So why wouldn't he take it?
Right.
Where did they go?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like if they don't trade Tkachuk and they allow him to walk after 1 year, they might make the playoffs this year, Tom. But I'm telling you right now, this is a team that's on the precipice of a rebuild.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, and obviously they didn't think they were in a rebuild when we went out and got Markstrom as their goaltender either, right? So they're a contender. So to now go from that to, was that 2 years ago or a year ago they signed him, to now think, okay, this team could be not being a contender now. Because I was with you. I think you said it earlier in the show, Mike. I really had them as a dark horse to win the cup. I thought they were that good.
Yeah.
I picked them to beat Edmonton.
Yeah.
Okay, 2025 second and Patrick Nemeth to the Arizona Coyotes.
What was that again?
Nemeth, from the Rangers, along with a 2025 second.
A wasted asset, but whatever.
Well,
2025, so whatever.
They're wow.
So it gives them another $3 million in cap space? Is that what he was making?
2.5, I think it was.
5?
Yeah,
right. Sounds right.
The official deal is the Rangers have acquired defenseman Ty Emberson from Arizona in exchange for Patrick Nemeth and a second-round pick.
Ty Emberson's formerly with the program. I mean, he's kind of like a depth defenseman, but there's a little something there.
Yeah, I think that's what they were looking for going to the playoffs last year too. Was the depth guy.
Yeah. Nemeth was making 2.5 for another 2 years, so that
was just
that helped. Yeah, that helps them. that clears for the next 2 years a significant amount of Trocheck's contract.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat says clearing cap for Patrick Kane. Be prepared. We're going to hear Patrick Kane to Toronto. We're going to hear Patrick Kane to New York. We're going to hear Patrick Kane to Columbus.
Yeah. I mean, he's a very attractive player.
I don't know. Maybe I just listen. It's one of those deals for me, like for Rangers, for example. If they get him, I go, okay, good move. But if they don't get him, I'm not disappointed either. I'm saying, okay, you've added Trocheck to a team that went to the semifinals last year. Yes, you lost some other guys, but you got other guys like Lafreniere, Hedl that have gotten better, got more experience. So,
yeah. What's your thought on Keko? Like as far as this whole thing goes, Tom? Do you think?
You know what? I use Nathan McKinnon as an example all the time. To me, he's one of the top 5 players in the world right now. But for the first 3 or 4 years of his career, it was a question whether he could play at all, right? They certainly, and all of a sudden, when they traded Matt Duchene, I'm not saying that's the reason, but Duchene got traded, then all of a sudden McKinnon's game took off. So I see this with Kakko. He's shown he's a big kid with skill. He's had some bad breaks with injuries. To me, if they give up on him, I get it, especially if they get something back for him. But it's just, I would not give up on him yet. There's another big, good skating, power forward that can score.
Always. Just before he was in the league, he just dominated at other levels.
Here's additional info on this deal. There's more than that. So it's Patrick Nemeth and 2 picks, a 2025 second, plus either a 2024 third or a 2026 second for Ty Emberson. So 2 draft picks plus that.
All right, we're joined back again by Kevin Allen. Kevin, welcome back to the show.
I'm back. I bring with me a rumor.
Give me the rumor.
Max Pacioretty to Nashville. It might just be wishful thinking and not a real.
You said that before, right? Didn't you say that?
So, well, I said it was a good fit. But I was just on Nashville radio, and he said that they've been talking about that. Not what I had said, but talking about Max Pacioretty there.
There's the power of Kevin Allen right there. The power of Kevin Allen.
Yeah, but they don't. They have just $3 or $4 million to spend, so it would require David Poile to do some finagling. But they need some scoring. There's no doubt about it. So Pacioretty,
I like it. I mean, they've shown. They're still kind of in going for it mode. McDonough, Pacioretty, they're
Well, I talked about this with Tom earlier, but they almost have to because they don't feel comfortable going in a reset mode still in that community. Even though they're the darling of their fan base and everything else, they just think that base is not ready to go 4 years or so without making the playoffs.
Well, they really have been used to it. They've done an amazing job at being in the playoffs. They find a way to make the playoffs.
The attractive thing about this, though, Kev, is the fact that he's only got 1 year left. So,
correct. That's
so that's not a long-term commitment there. Now, a couple other things here. The Blues have signed Noel Acciari to a 1-year deal for $1.25 million.
That's good.
Colin Blackwell, he got the extra year from the Blackhawks, $1.2 million on a 2-year deal. I heard the Leafs wanted him, but they wanted him on a 1-year deal. So, and probably Chicago with their suddenly available cap space could offer him a little bit more. So he goes to the Hawks. So
I do want to mention one thing. So, I think Ty Emberson will go to Hartford, but the Rangers re-signed Libor Hayek, and I guess he's going to be a third pairing guy. And I didn't like Libor Hayek in the deal back in the day. I didn't like him a couple of years ago. Not sure I'm going to like him now, but right now, unless they upgrade, that's probably the guy.
Well, what about Lundqvist or any of the other young Zach Jones? Or
Gallant's hard to please in that regard, so I don't know what he thinks of those guys right now.
Yeah, he doesn't give the young kids much.
No.
Yeah.
Lindblom got $2.5 million.
Guys, would elbow people in the mouth, and he can skate.
Yeah, so Lindblom gets $2.5 million in San Jose.
Fantastic.
Nice. Excellent. So he gets $500,000 a year for the next 2 years from Philly.
So he made out. He was plus 500,000. Yeah.
And he was making $3 million in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so it's a 2/3. It's a 1/3 buyout. right? He's under 26.
Right, exactly. So
Yes.
he gets the buyout plus the money he gets from San Jose, and he gets to live in Northern California.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so he
If
makes
anyone deserves it, he does.
Yes.
but he gets that $1 million over 2 years. So
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm sure you talked about this while I was busy writing a story, but Tampa, that's just so bizarre. We're in trouble. We got to dump Ryan McDonough, and then we'll just give everybody on the roster 8 years.
I know.
But Kev, this is the thing. All those contracts click in next
Oh,
year.
I know, but that's still the optics of that is just incredible.
We looked at it this way. Now Killorn, Ian Cole, and Nemestikov, they add up to about $10 million. There's no chance that they're re-signing any one of them because
they're all 1 year guys. Yeah,
1 year guys, and they're gonna have to make room. But they're gonna even after that, they're gonna have to make room, even more room for them, and the cap is not going up, so they're gonna have decisions to make. But they'll make.
Yeah, I sense that they have identified their version of a reset in Tampa. Is we've identified the 7 guys that we cannot live without.
Yep.
And those are our guys, and we'll build around those 7 guys for the next several years. And when you've got guys like Hedman, Vasilevsky, Point, all those guys, it's a little bit easier to do that. So
and the other thing that we pointed out is the 3 guys that they signed, Cernak, Cirelli, and Sergachev. They're all in their mid-20s. They're all 24, 25 years old. It's not like they're signing 29 and 30-year-olds.
No.
So that's the smart thing there.
Nick Cousins is signing with the Panthers.
That's good. I mean, he's a fast skater. He kills, 10 minutes a shift.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised at that because Nick Cousins played his junior in Sault Ste. Marie, and if you play Sault Ste. Marie, usually you end up in Toronto.
Did we lose Tom? Is Tom running off?
He had to jump off.
To get his 4,000 calories in. So
Yeah.
Well, Tom, I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but Tom lives the true grit lifestyle. So he doesn't eat for like 15 hours a day. There's a small window where he eats, and he has such an incredible workout schedule that he has.
Making sushi.
We got a Flyers thing, guys. Here, the Flyers are signing back Justin Braun and Nick Delorier.
Wow.
Okay, I have to give
That's
credit. I have to give credit where credit is due. There, Jeff Merrick on the 32 Thoughts podcast has been saying Nick Delorier to Philadelphia for a month. He's been saying
why? I mean, again, if you want to just prove what the Flyers are and they're looking to be big and tough, sure, Nick Delorier is better than what they had. Okay.
Yeah. He's better than was it Brown and Zach McEwen.
He's better than McEwen. I guess McEwen won't get signed now.
Arturi Lehkonen is going to sign a 5-year extension with Colorado. So
it's a good signing, unless it's too much money.
So right now, Kev, I mean, there's chatter out there that Kadri might be going back to the Avalanche. I don't. So we were suspecting that maybe Eric Johnson might be retiring because that's the only way that they could make the room. But okay, they've kept Nichushkin, they've kept Lehkonen, they've kept Manson, they've kept so they're keeping most of that team. They switched out Kemper for Georgiev.
Yes, we've talked about this before, but in hockey we love our players. This happens in hockey more so than other sports where they just have a hard time breaking up championship teams. So they just want to keep the players they have, and I understand that.
Colorado's extended Lehkonen.
Right, $4.5 million for 5 years.
Do you know how many minutes John Tortorella is going to play Justin Braun? Too many. That's the answer.
Oh God, Russ. Louis Domingue has signed with the Rangers, so he must have liked that pork, spicy pork and broccoli. Oh my goodness! So
there's plenty of that in New York.
So he's the Hartford goalie, I'm assuming.
Yes.
They brought in Halak. So did they have spicy pork and broccoli? And
Hartford closes up after 6:00, so I don't know.
Oh, Kevin, hearing this is something that David Perrin might be on his way to Detroit.
That's interesting. The only thing I would say about that is the Red Wings are deep in smaller players.
Yeah.
And they were looking to get bigger players. So
that's I kept hearing that Perron was gone, that he was going to leave today, and we all assumed he wouldn't, but got to look more into that. But I think it's possible that this is true.
Yeah, and you can throw in. I mean, Robbie Fabre probably will not be ready at the start of the season, so they're down a smaller forward. So Perron is really a consistent offensive player.
He really is. He's like
This is the third time that he's considering either been traded or leaving St. Louis. It's like so I'm counting the days until he gets traded back to the Blues.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
but he's a good hockey player. He can help your team. So, it's interesting about Detroit. I'm sure you guys discussed this already, but Ali Mata is going there. And what's interesting about that is he is only their second left shot defenseman on the roster. Now, Simon Edmondson is projected. He's going to be a rookie. Is projected to make the roster. And he's a left shot. So.
Did we see any confirmation on the Ben Sherratt? There was hearing Ben Sherratt in Detroit.
The Red Wings are getting Ben Sherratt.
Yeah, I know. I had heard that as a rumor, but I thought I almost dismissed it because you think that he was going to go elsewhere. You had told me.
I had thought he was going to go elsewhere. Yeah, but the rumor was he was going to go elsewhere, but it did look like it was a pretty strong rumor today that he was going to go there.
Which was Sherratt. Well, he's a real, if that's the case. I have not seen anything on it. I did hear a rumor about it when I was gone. So
I'm going to look into it a little bit more here. Let's see.
I've not seen any of the big, breakers, Friedman or LeBron or any of those mention anything about it.
Yeah, an hour ago, Friedman said that they were closing in on Sherratt, but that was the last thing that was sent. So
I'm going to say this because it just hit my head while I was watching my next door neighbor's house get demolished by a crane. They're like, I can see in the basement now. It's bizarre. Anyhow, my next door neighbor's house is just getting torn down.
Why are they tearing down your neighbor's house?
Well, no, it's owned by the church, so who knows? Anyhow, heck, now that they brought back Braun, they could move Provorov for a song, and they'll have money for Gaudreau then.
That's what I'm thinking too, Russ. I mean, I think this feels like a setup trade in a big way, a setup signing, and Delorier too. Like it feels like this is Delorier gives him the opportunity to maybe move Konechny. It's like there's another that's like I don't know. The fact that it hasn't been announced yet to the Devils and the Islanders.
I think the Flyers asked them to give him some time.
Yeah, I think Gaudreau's willing to give him the time to try to figure this out.
4 years to Nick Delorier?
Eric Gustafson to the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, they gave Eric Gustafson still survives. He's another one of those 9 lives players.
He's the cockroach of NHL.
Yes.
They gave 4 years to Nick Delorier. $2
million per year. I think that's actually a pretty freaking good signing, Russ. Actually,
no, it's not. Not for 4 years.
No, $2 million a year for Delorier is a good signing.
Russ has spoken. Russ has spoken. You lose. Russ has spoken. He gave it his best declarative sentence. So
I think Delorier is I really like Delorier. I think he brings a lot of he brings character they need. He's going to be a great Tortorella player.
Yeah, I'll be Solomon and say I would like it better if it was 3. So
thank you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, there's always some way you'd like it better, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
Now, of course, we're doing the show here, so we can't be watching what the other shows are doing and talking about. But Marty Baron, who actually I talked to in Montreal on Wednesday, had a good discussion with him. He's doing commentating on TSN, and he said that the Toronto Maple Leafs have the worst goaltending of all the Canadian teams.
Yep.
No. That would be the Edmonton Oilers and the Ottawa Senators.
Not anymore.
No.
Yes. Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell, or Anton Forsberg and Cam Talbot. I'll take Matt Murray and Ilya Samsonov.
What drugs are you on, Mike?
No,
honestly, I mean, you can't. You just do me a favor. Move that chair back. Stand up. Take a step back. And then look at it again. Like that's just not true.
No,
So.
I mean that's okay. That's what I believe, and I may be proven wrong. And if I am, I'll.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's always the case when we make these declarative
No.
statements.
Wait a second. Sorry.
He's not. I mean, it's close. I mean,
no, it's not. It's not close at all.
It is close. I mean, I'm giving you as close that
Okay.
In your benefit, it's close. Like it's close that Toronto might be better goaltending right now than
they had last year.
They might be better than Ottawa. They're not better than Edmonton.
It's not better than last year, Mike.
It is
not better than Edmonton.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Here is the award for the massive overpayment of the day. Erica Branson from Columbus, 4 years, $4 million AAV. Oh my God!
Shot blocker.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's
a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
Is having a tough time attracting players right now.
That was a lot of money for a defenseman that a lot of people thought was declining when Calgary brought him in on a 1-year deal. I mean, God bless. He that's a great. I don't blame him for signing it. Wow, that's
Kevin Klingberg is still not signed. What's going on?
He's doubled back. He's talking to Dallas.
That's never a good sign.
Well, here's the thing. He has some options out there.
Okay.
But there's something about it. He's getting married. His teammates, his Dallas teammates are calling him.
Right.
And there's a real late effort to get him to stay. And so I don't know what's going to happen, but that's what I'm hearing.
Interesting.
So.
Okay. All right. That would make some sense because I really kind of thought he would go by now, based on everything we'd heard.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, does he really want to go to Seattle? Like, I saw an interesting stat. I don't know if it was on Twitter or where I saw it, but like the Columbus Blue Jackets did not have nearly the advantages in an expansion draft than Seattle did. Seattle had fewer points than Columbus did in their first year. In other words, Seattle had a really poor season last year. I mean, much poorer than we didn't. None of us really dumped on Seattle, but they just didn't do a good job, and they've got to make some progress like instantly. And so they're trying to upgrade their offense next season, and Klingberg would be a really good fit for all that. But they're still going to be a poor hockey team.
Yeah, they're still a bad team. Yeah.
Does Klingberg want to be involved in that? I don't know.
That's
so
true.
right now it's 2:36 and we're 2.5 hours into free agency, and Gaudreau has not signed, Kadri has not signed, and Klingberg, who is arguably the most sought after defenseman, has not signed. That's a little surprising, Kev, because I thought that we thought there was going to be 12:01 and somebody was going to have those guys.
Yeah.
Well, for sure. But I think the fact that both two of those three have doubled back to their former teams and are talking to them, probably slows them down. And Gaudreau, I mean, I like X's theory that the Flyers have said, give us time. Let us see what we can do. Because if he does indeed would prefer to go to, was that his hometown team, I would assume?
Yeah, definitely his hometown team. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean,
his wife's from here. It's just, and they're having a baby soon. It's I think there's, you can never discredit that. Like when having your in-laws near you when you have a baby is a good idea.
The Penguins have signed Jan Rutta, former 2-time Cup winner with the Tampa Bay Lightning, to a 3-year deal at just under $3 million per. He always struck me, Kev, as a guy that sort of like rode on the coattails of Victor Hedman because it's sort of like Matt Carl, who played with Chris Pronger. He looked fantastic, and as soon as he went someplace else, you realized it was Matt. He was Matt Carl.
Yeah, I think that's fair, to be honest with you. I would have said that he rode on the coattails of the entire Tampa Bay Lightning organization. But Hedman, I mean, you're right on that. But, he benefited by playing on a very good team.
Yes.
He didn't have the same amount of pressure that he would have, for example, if he was playing for, Toronto or Detroit or Buffalo or some of the teams where, they don't think of themselves as two-way teams.
So in your opinion, have I redeemed myself after the Matt Murray says?
Yeah, I think maybe.
You're coming back in a little bit.
I'm just trying to get you to just step away and just let to see clearly. That's all I want. Just to see clearly. So.
Yeah, there's a lot there. So we haven't got it. I'm trying to get in more insight on Sherrod. I have not been able to get any.
Well, you know what's going to happen, Nick. We're gonna end the show at 3:00, and at 3:02 we're gonna have a signing. You know that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
Well,
that's fine. We'll still be going here, guys. For sure. I'm still going to be going all day. And let's talk a little bit about this free agency period, because I think that it's a good way to kind of end the show up. Is it feels as if there are still so many players out there that haven't signed. Like there are a lot of guys out there that haven't signed.
Well, there's some big ones.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of the trade discussions. I mean, that need to be resolved.
Renaud Lavoie is reporting that the Red Wings are closing in on a deal with David Perron.
Wow.
Now,
I'm stunned by that.
I know. Yeah. I am too.
I mean, I think if Yzerman gets Sherratt too, he's still having a heck of a day, honestly.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's a little bit surprising because Yzerman sort of tells you what he's going to do. If you just read between the lines. And he said one of the things, his quotes that I've sort of gotten my arms around. He said, it was pointed out that he had, $36 million. He said, but you have to spend that wisely.
Right.
He said you can't just spend it, willy nilly or or whatever. And
we don't know the term on these deals. They could be 2-year deals and short.
Yeah, but I got
he's a goal scorer, and they need a goal. So
for sure, and he's a very consistent goal scorer.
I
mean, nothing about his talent. I'm just surprised that they would kind of go in that direction. Like he's not. I thought they were going to try to go heavier, with some because they've talked about that. Dylan Larkin, as I pointed out, has said multiple times, we do not play very well against heavier teams. I thought he was trying to send a message to his general manager. I'd heard that they were trying to get some tougher players, but
some bigger players in there. Yeah. I mean, Perrin plays big. He plays big, even though he's not super big. I think. I always think of David Perron as the mini version of Claude Giroux. I think I've always felt like they're very similar players.
I mean, if he didn't have the concussions, he'd have a lot more goals.
Yeah, he has the talent. They both have that crazy. They both are very good playmakers.
He's Claude Giroux, who's played for teams, whereas Giroux played for one team.
Yeah, but the style they play is very similar. Both very good power play people. That's one thing that he does bring in. Brings a really good power play, for sure. I've heard more about Calgary and Kadri.
That would be surprising because everybody's sort of written off unless they're overpaying them like crazy.
Yeah, because
Calgary has to do something here because Calgary, they have to stem the tide here of losing Gaudreau, don't you think? I mean, that's they can't just sit back and.
No,
let's just say that if Kadri signed with Calgary, that feeds into the Edmonton Calgary narrative because Kadri gets under the skin of Connor McDavid better than any player in the league. He will drive him insane.
Yeah. Question. So what I wanted to finish off with a thought that I had before about, I think we're in for a very long summer of free agency. I feel like and trades and things. I think there's a lot of tuning up. It still has to get done.
Well, Eck, it's going to be a very short summer because training camps are going to start early mid-September, because the season's going to start.
Yeah, we're 2 months away from that. So, yeah, I think that it's going to be short. It's going to be short, but I feel like that we're going to see a couple waves of free agent signing type things. Like I think we're going to see this wave. I think things will calm down a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see a couple signings for a couple days. You know,
Ben Sherratt, 4 years, $4.75 million with Detroit.
Wow.
All right, Kev, you probably have to go.
Yeah, I do.
We're gonna stop the show too, anyway. But Kev, go chase that down and let us know what you think.
Yeah, that's really amazing that they've got him. I mean, wouldn't you have thought Sherratt would have gone to a contender?
I think they've all decided he plays a different role and they don't want him.
I think he went for the term and for the money.
Yeah.
I wonder if this means curtains for Philip Hronek in Detroit. There was a lot of this guy. He didn't adjust well to Moritz Seider coming in, and he pretty much owns the defense now. It's his defense, and Hronek had been the number one defenseman, even though he really wasn't a number one defenseman. So
right.
He lost the point on the power play. They tried to move him to the wing a little bit, but so I mean, I don't know that they'll trade him for sure, but it sure seems like they might.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's call it here, guys. We'll be back again tomorrow, I guess. Why not?
Or later tonight if there's
things pick up again, and we're gonna stay on this. So stay on my rumor tracker. I'm gonna be adding things continually, like I have been during the show today, and also the rumor chart. Slavkovsky just signed his ELC in Montreal. That was, of course, is not surprising. But remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for all your support. Stay tuned. We're not done yet. We got a whole summer ahead of us here, guys. We will talk to you soon.